Christmas. So sorry, Thanksgiving. The week before Thanksgiving, we had 10 team members go out on COVID leave, which is a mandatory 2 weeks. You get 10 paid days plus your 4 days off that you would have got anyway. And so you're out for 14 days. So that's the week before and the week of Thanksgiving. We have that many team members go out. And then the week of Christmas, we had everybody in leadership go out except for me and 2 other people. And the way they calculate it is if you have 15 minutes of exposure, you're fucked. You have to go away. I was at 11 minutes of exposure. So the theme for Christmas was 4 minutes to fucked.
Wow.
I did 2 13-hour days and 1 14-hour day and 1 10-hour day. 10-hour day was Christmas Eve. And no breaks, no lunches, nothing. Just straight making food, packaging food, making sure the product is cooling correctly so no one gets sick from food poisoning.
There's a lot of that going on, that working.
Running, but so then everybody comes back. And we only had a couple of issues with holiday orders during Christmas where someone didn't get something. You know, like I remember I walked in Christmas Eve and we were 72 pounds light on green bean casserole.
Oh, shit.
So I had to whip up 72 pounds of green bean casserole in 6 hours and properly cool it and make sure it gets to the customer.
Okay.
So, giant Tetris puzzles that we're working here. So, so we had a really, really rough last, couple of months with COVID. But then this week before I go on my 2 days off, I find out that we didn't even have it the worst. Folsom had nobody. They had to cancel all of their orders for Christmas week because they had no team. They had to shut down their kitchen. And then Arden had 20 people out. Dang. They only had like 4 people in their kitchen, and they had to cancel all of their orders too, which totally explains why I was getting inundated the week of Christmas, going like, where are all these people coming from?
Well, I'm delivering to you guys while all this is going on.
Yeah.
Do you
get notified if someone in our warehouse pops?
No. The process is, Reg, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. The process is for us, well, for me, I can only speak to, kind of get shoved under the rug. Some of the things that we should be doing.
My brother was telling me too, because he delivers for another company. I'm not going to say their name.
Yep. And law enforcement's not pulling everybody over as much as they were.
No, and that was something he told me too. He was like, he's like, I'll just be driving down the road, just no care.
Yeah,
wave at cops.
Yeah. They I swear that they are only really able to handle cheap stuff, really expensive stuff. Like they don't go after the cheap shit anymore. No. They've got bigger concerns, and all that money is on edge right now. Yeah. So fucking crazy.
I mean, you got to think about it like this. I mean, I'm working in an environment where the base pay is $15 an hour, and I have full timers who are pulling 38 to 45 hours a week coming up to me excited about a $600 stimulus check, and I'm like, why are you excited about $600? Yep. And they're just like, well, I can buy this, I can buy this, I can buy this. And I'm like, no one cares about your Xbox. Like, use that money to pay something off.
Like
secure
you
your
don't
future.
have bills piling up from COVID. You don't have,
I mean, really, I don't know what you do for work, Reg. I don't know if you work in an office or you work.
I'm a homemaker.
Okay.
At the current moment.
Say it with pride, man. God damn, Reg.
You're building a future.
Actually, I am, and so much more now. There have been such developments because my girl and I both have, depression issues. But starting, I think the week before the new year, she kind of snapped out of it. And she's like, I need to reorganize the kitchen. And this became a whole thing. We emptied out the food out of the cupboard. And she went and got little boxes, and she organized all the food by, okay, here's the bad carbs. Let's put those on the bottom shelf. Here's, and she just did this whole thing in the kitchen, and that got us both into the mood to just totally deep clean the whole apartment. So now we have this spick and span clean apartment that we're like, oh, we can maintain this, but we need to be able to maintain it. I think even with depression dips, you can probably maintain something that is keeping itself clean.
Well, as somebody who's suffered depression lifelong, I mean, you can ask Mike when ICUP disbanded.
I started recording.
That's good. Yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
Hello, world.
Welcome to the podcast.
when ICUP disbanded, I went into about a 9-month spiral where I wasn't talking, extremely overeating. I had to go back and live with my parents because the apartment fell through and stuff. And the only one that pulled me out, not the only one, but the only one that like kept it real with me, because I was in contact with him the most was Jawara. And he was the one that was like, you know, you do this fucking thing, man, where every time something bad happens, you go into this spiral, and I'm not fucking dealing with it anymore. So get the fuck over it, or and I was just like, oh, nobody's really ever said that to me. So, you know, and oddly enough, we were talking about it. My birthday was a couple weeks back, and we were talking about it then. And he's like, look where you are now. Look what you did. Look. And he's like, and what were you mad about? He's like, what? You know, I was just like, first of all, go fuck yourself. Second of all, thank you. You know, like, it's just, it's depression is so wild. Like, you know, everybody in my family, my father, my mother, my brothers, my sister, we all have it, and we all deal with it differently. You know, my sister moved to a whole other state, started a brand new, just with her family, because California was depressing her, and she wanted to get out of here. My younger brother moved into another part of the state to get away from the things that were causing him depression here in Sacramento. And, yeah, I mean, we all deal with it differently. We all internalize it and display it differently. My depression manifests in this body that you see in front of you because I overeat and I go for the easy thing. And I don't take care of this this thing that I'm always complaining hurts me. Like, oh, my knees are killing me. My feet are killing me. Yeah. It's like, well, you can affect that. You over there messing with levels.
Sorry, fellas. I just needed to make sure. Carry on.
So anyway, yeah, depression sucks, but being a homemaker is nothing to be ashamed about.
No, I'm not really ashamed of it. I'm just like figuring it out as somebody who hasn't really had to do that. Who's, you know, I mean, I'm familiar with household chores, but I'm not familiar with how do you maintain a house at a certain level. Because
let me know, because I'm figuring that out too.
Well, here's what it is, because I can relate. I think we all can relate, because we figured out relationships at some point.
What?
We figured out how to partner up with somebody.
I figured out how to balance my crazy with someone else's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
Well, that's what relationships are all about. Yeah.
So, but imagine that, right? Before this thing came along, we already kind of had it dialed in.
Yeah, like, stay-at-home order, so nothing changes. Cool.
Right. Yeah, like, okay, cool, I like it here. You know, and how many people fucking hate where they live?
A lot.
Think about people who are roommates with people they don't ever see or talk to. Now they're fucking stuck with them.
I don't like the general like area that I live in. Like, we've made our personal home environment like way better over the last couple of weeks, where it's like, I like coming home to this because it's so clean and we can just chill out. But yeah, up until then, it's like, oh God, this place sucks. We like the kitchen is just, and there's not enough space for this. And we just got a new VR headset, and now we had to like rearrange the furniture just to make room to play with that thing. And that also helped us like rearrange everything and clean everything. And of course, she went and got one of those new Roombas.
Fucking robots.
That thing.
We've been thinking about it.
I didn't like it. She had an older version, like from years ago, like one of the first early ones, and that thing's a piece of shit. But the new one, the thing, it maps out your house and it remembers what room is what, so you can through an app tell it to just go clean one room, and it just
it's got manners. That's nice, because the other fucking rude ass robot just like chokes up on the fucking rug, and it's like, what's the fucking point of you?
My favorite Roomba story is my friend. You remember Alex, tall white Alex?
I think so.
Okay.
Was he Air Force?
Yeah. Well, he was Army, but he worked on helicopters and stuff, so he gets confused. He was a not aerospace. What do they call that? Aero something mechanic, and he worked on Black Hawk helicopters. He worked he can talk about it now because he's 20 years removed, but he got to work on the stealth bombers and stuff in Iraq. And,
it's exotic.
And he worked on all kinds of different shit. But yeah, he was a mechanic in the Army, and
I remember him.
So he had this old house out in Rancho Cordova that his mom owned. He had a Roomba. And he had an older dog that was on its way out, and she was constantly having accidents everywhere and stuff, and liquid shit in the hallway, and the Roomba went over it and made a Picasso on the wall.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
That's a Gen 1 Roomba, though. That's my favorite Roomba stories. It's just like, so wait, so let me get this straight. You just had one pile of shit, and then the Roomba got a hold of it.
I'm just
Spat it out.
I'm just happy we have a couple cats, and one of them gets real kicky with the litter.
Yeah, like you do. Male cat?
Male cat,
Yep.
of course, gets, and he's unaltered because he's genetically fucked up. So they were always worried that if they put him under the knife, they're not going to get him back out.
Oh.
Because he's got a bad heart as well. So it's like,
You're not doing yourself any favors by kicking this litter everywhere.
his nuts only half dropped. You know, he's kind of a gimp anyway. So they just let him be. But now he gets stud tail. He gets all sticky shit at the base of his tail.
Nice.
And he's constantly trying to fuck the female cat we have.
Why
Even though
not?
she's not about it.
Why not?
He's not
Stay at home. What are you going to do?
He's not being a gentleman about it.
Nah.
Our constant thing.
He's like, look at my shit tail. You want to fuck?
So the male cat's Darwin.
Get your dirty paws on me.
He's defying
You don't
nature.
need to lick it clean, baby. I'm all about that life.
Ah,
But
shit.
Shasta's fixed, so she's a little bit older than him, and they're both senior cats now. So
Like
our
Mexican?
Senor Cats.
senior cats,
Hello.
Senor gatos.
senior gato. I am senior gato.
My cat doesn't he looks at the litter box and then he turns around, he's like right outside the litter box.
He's like, looks at it. He's like, that's a nice suggestion.
So you gonna change the litter yet? Like, I'm coming, man. I got a
know-
fucking bag in my hand.
They
Shit.
know how to communicate to you. That's letting you know, hey,
They're cool as fuck, man. It's a wizardry. I
we've
swear to
been
God.
flirting with the idea of adopting a cat, and she's allergic, but with hardwood floors and everything, we think we can keep it pretty allergic free. And I think if we invest in a Roomba, we can obviously make that happen too.
oh yeah, the Roomba. So
And-
the Roomba's going around. It can clean
Yeah.
up all the cat sand.
But she just has, she has that allergy, and
Fucking allergy.
but she's never. I grew up with cats. Like I grew up, we always had a cat, we always had a dog, we always had 2 cats, maybe 2 dogs, maybe 1. There's always a pet, and we always, cats to me were the easier of the animals to take care of because they kind of just did their own thing. As long as there was food and water and somewhere
Yeah,
to go to,
they don't need all that
They just did
attention.
their own thing.
Yes.
And I remember I'd go to other people's houses who would have cats and they would have all these elaborate structures built for the cats. like here's all this stuff on the wall. And I never like, it
I would do
wasn't
that.
like
I want to so bad.
I think it was a cool idea, but I'm just like, there's a level of cat ownership if you can even own an animal. I'm not willing to cross like at this.
So
where I'm at in life.
let me tell you something about the cats that I have. 5 cats, right? And I wasn't always okay with having this in my life, but at some point I got to know all these little people, and now like when I come home, we don't really argue. We just like communicate, and they'll tell me "fuck off" or "hey, what's up." Or they'll be like, "I fucking love you, man."
Yeah, I'm having a bad day. Don't come on. I will hiss and scratch, and you will lose a limb. And
And they're like straightforward about it, and it's like, "All right, I got you, bitch." And I'll talk to them like, "I fucking see you, bitch," because she'll do something to say something, and I'll be like, "I fucking saw it," and she'll look at me like, "You what? What? You gonna let me out? What?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, I don't have time to talk to you right now." And so it gets violent. And my girl's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just had it with fucking little girl. She was talking shit." She's like, "What'd she say?" I'm like, "She was saying all this shit about let her out." And I'm like, "Fuck you, bitch. You shit on our fucking bed." And she's, she understands. So
dogs
that's
are
a wizardry.
completely different. I mean, dogs are clingy. They're a pack animal. They have to have that attention. They have to have.
Yep.
That's why like owning a dog versus owning a cat is such a different mindset. You have to put. To me, I'm not a father. I don't plan on being one, but I would assume having a dog at any age is the same as having like a 5-year-old, where there's a constant need of attention. There's a constant level of support structure that has to be in place. Otherwise, this animal will just do whatever it wants and hurt itself, not hurt itself, get into trouble, not get into trouble. They have a mind of their own. I mean, the dog we adopted from you, she's 4.5 pounds, and somehow she's learned how to flip trash cans. And and
Might as well learn something.
and it's out of a necessity to eat, not because she's being malicious, not because she wants to like say something. She's like, I
gotta eat.
Smell some garbage in here. It smells pretty good.
I gotta eat.
You
Yeah,
gotta eat.
yeah.
And so so for me, having cats is, I've always viewed the cats as like the lazy pet owner. but not in any like not being mean about it, but just kind of like I'm willing to have a level of responsibility that this sentient creature can just hang for itself.
Let me propose something at this very moment in time.
Serious voice.
If I find us a sound effect or soundtrack that will bring us into a space where we can become cats as personalities.
I think talking about it kills the idea. Doing it is something completely different.
Okay. All right. I'll wait then.
Well, yeah, wait, because
remember in our improv training, there's driving and then there's directing.
Yeah. Okay.
So
all right.
there's
first
the
time.
difference.
Let's do this.
Between, I don't know, you have a bunch of cats. My cats, they're older cats. So
11. Just letting you know.
when
11.
when you're the adopted human parent,
How much caffeine did you have, Mike?
24 ounces.
Just pure espresso.
Yeah, pretty much.
When the cats are older, they're not so much about let me out, play with me, all that. They're sleeping, and then you come up and you pet them, and they wake up, go, and they either let you pet them or just go back to sleep. Except for Shasta, she likes to eat. And she likes to have an audience when she eats. So I'll go sit down. I'm right next to her food. It's there. But she comes up to me, meow, meow, meow. What, you need me to pet you while you eat? Yeah, that's what she needs.
Wow, they're like little old people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like those qualities in the cats don't ever change.
I've never pet an old person while they ate.
You wait.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's all about exposure.
Oh, okay.
You'll do it if they ask.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a favorite.
So Darwin, he gets horny sometimes, but Shasta, we like to give her the voice of.
You have a cat named Darwin, or are we talking about the scientist?
Darwin is named after the scientist because he's defied nature and survived.
Oh, is this the one with the stub tail? Okay.
With stud tail and the half drop balls and the bad heart.
Cat belongs in the Galapagos.
Which is why she named him. My girlfriend my fiance is a vet, so she's and she's also, she'll rescue pets that come in that the owners can't pay for, and that's how she got him.
I know the type.
Yeah. So
I had a friend who was a vet tech and adopted a horse. Nowhere to put it, and I was like, "Why did you do that?"
Yeah.
They were gonna pull him down. I'm like, well,
she'll call me. It's like
he's got 3 legs. Maybe it's for the best.
She'll sometimes call. It's like, I hope you don't mind. I might be bringing another pit bull home. I'm like, all right.
Pit bulls. I love pit bulls, but we can't right now have one because the structure of the fence is so vitally important. Like everybody I know who owns a pit bull and has a backyard for them has had to do California has crazy like structure. I don't know if you call it policy or laws or what, but like they have these guidelines that you have to follow on building enclosures for dangerous breeds, which I hate that, but they say it anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean,
is there such a thing?
Yeah, in the state of California, pit bulls are classified as a dangerous breed, an aggressive breed. They're.
But do you think that's true?
No, I don't. I think. Well, it's the same. It's the same as anything, right? Like behavior is learned; it's not genetic.
Right.
And like nobody's born a racist. That's a learned behavior.
Yeah, you need to
What
learn
about
that
tigers?
Tigers are born racist?
No, but I mean, could you classify tigers as non-dangerous animals if they're racist?
That's an exotic animal. It's a different level. So exotic animals fall into a whole other category.
Okay.
I think the biggest revelation about that tiger show, the Tiger King, was that tigers cost $2,000. And I was like, fuck, you can buy a tiger for $2,000.
Yeah.
And as long as you clear the permits, you can own one outright in the United States. And
no.
And
I don't know.
But I don't believe in dangerous breeds when referring to dogs. I think some dogs are naturally genetically exposed to have a little bit more aggression for hunting, for protection, for just sort of the animal that they, because they're all descended from wolves, and every single dog breed that you see comes from years of breeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Years of like, of just genetically smart engineering on like, well, this poodle's gonna fuck this chihuahua,
And sometimes not smart engineering. You get the French bulldogs,
right? Which I love.
Oh, they're
Bulldogs of
cute,
all
but,
kinds. And they snore like monsters. But yeah, I mean, I don't believe any animal is dangerous inherently. We're talking about domesticated animals. I think it has everything to do with behavior. And the reason I say that is I've met too many dogs in my life to believe it. Like we all grew up where as a child, there was always a dog in the neighborhood and everybody knew, don't go near that house because a dog will eat you. Well, I was the kid. It was like, it's a fucking dog. Like we can't be afraid of, if it bites you, it bites you.
So you're Benny the Jet. That's what you're telling me. You're Benny the Jet. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so there was 2 dogs in my neighborhood growing up. There was one that was a bull mastiff, and everybody was afraid of him. But for whatever reason, me and this dog connected, and this dog loved me. This dog was twice my size, and this dog loved me. And then another one was the what is the mix between the Doberman and the Boxer called? Anyway, I know you can see it in your brain, but that dog was incredibly rude and mean and loud to everybody. Tried to bite me the one time as a child, and I punched it, and he was chill after that, you know, and I didn't punch it like I started like mollywopping the dog. It was like, it tried to bite me and I bopped it.
It was your animal instinct against his.
Right.
Yeah.
It was flight or fight, and I fought.
Both of you were like, wait, what's up?
Yeah.
Dog fighting is horrible, but I'd like to, for all the psycho dog fighters out there, to choose like the cutest fucking tiny dog breed ever to start fight. Like, fight
have
poodles.
a Shih Tzu and a fucking Shar-Pei
Yeah.
to the death.
Have those
Be
be
like
the
watching
fighting
2
dogs,
rugs
and
go
let's
at it.
2 stuffed animals.
let's see California label the
fur and
poodle
fluff.
as an aggressive breed,
Yeah.
dangerous.
Well,
breed.
I remember there was, I don't know if it did pass or if it was just being proposed, but they wanted to pass Chihuahuas as a dangerous breed because of all the little nibbling and stuff.
Those things are more dangerous than pit bulls.
Over time.
They have a Napoleon
Over
complex.
time. Little bites.
Yeah.
But they'll fuck you up inside,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
They'll get up in you.
Yeah, it's not right because they're so small and fragile. You cannot physically react to their shit. And so it puts this issue in between you.
Right,
where-
because can you imagine somebody saying that at the wrong time? Like you punt a Chihuahua across the
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah,
and
man.
they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and you're like,
no.
it was like, look at my socks. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, it's just socks, man.
Yeah. But like the big dogs, you just slap their ass and they just look at you like, yo, my bad, man. Shit. You know, it's a lot easier to
Yeah.
say what
well,
you got to say.
You know, my boss owns this amazing pit bull named Boozer, and that dog is a child. You know, it's just a 5-year-old spirit trapped inside
those
of
are
an
scary.
animal. And
Ooh, shit, here we go.
and he is incredibly unpredictable, but not in a dangerous way. He'll be in a dead sleep. Like I was at his house watching football, and Boozer was on the couch asleep. And and we're not even being loud. The TV's not loud. Nobody's being loud. We're just having a conversation. And Boozer just pops up. He's on all fours, grabs his little rope toy, chucks it at me with his mouth. And it's right then and there. I want to play. We're playing right now. Like, what? Like, you were asleep a second ago. Like, and so, like, yeah, he's, that's why I say, like, I've seen it too many times with my own eyes to believe that there's any such thing as a dangerous breed. It has everything to do with ownership. It has everything to do with how your behavior is affecting that particular animal. And I feel like, there should be classes, right? Like, you know how we say like, oh, there's no blueprint to be a parent. Like nobody tells you like what to do, what to expect, yada, yada, yada. Well, there is. People say it. People tell you all the time, like, hey, when they hit 2, it's a whole other world.
Yep.
Hey, when they're 6, it's a whole other world.
Yeah.
They're gonna, if you have a girl and she turns 13, look out.
Yeah.
Like people who have lived the experience can tell you like, hey, there are big road signs you need to look out for.
And I'm
every
gonna
little
dig being an uncle that sees all that happen.
That's
from the
just
sidelines.
it's nature yelling its genetics at itself.
Right.
Like,
There
hey,
are,
man.
there's road signs.
Yeah.
Whether you choose to fucking read it or not is up to you.
Yeah.
But I definitely believe that there needs to be, like classes for people who want to own certain types of animals and like what to look out for and like how to prepare yourself for that. I don't think you can just. If you look at the adoption rates of animals versus the how many are up for adoption, there's a correlation there between what a dog looks like, the perception of the dog.
Oh, right. Like the dogs that are less liked are sort of weeded out,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
euthanized a little more often.
And pit bulls and Dobermans and Mastiffs and all the aggressive, dangerous breeds. They all fall into that category of like, you have only 7 days, you can adopt this animal. It's like, well, fuck, dude, I got to build a fence. Like, I'm trying to make sure this thing doesn't die because I have a heart. But like, you know, and unfortunately, we just don't have that compassion yet to figure that out.
See, that's the thing, man. How much could one or should one invest their emotions and their spirituality into like a connection with an animal?
I can't answer that question. I don't know the individual.
Well, and you don't really get a choice. It just happens to you, right?
Yeah, animals choose you.
Yeah. So like it's a world within a world, and only you can understand. And you know when you've wronged the animal.
Oh, yeah.
And they understand the animal in you, because when you bark or you snap, they get it. They're like, all right, man, shit. You know, like they.
Well, it's I say to Mila all the time. Like, why do you make me use that voice?
Yeah.
Just listen the first time.
Yeah,
I don't want to bark at you.
Yeah.
I don't want Michaela to be in the shower behind 3 closed doors and go, "What's wrong?" Like, fucking dog knocked the trash can over again. Yeah. You know, and so I don't know. Ownership of something like a cat, a dog is a lot of fun.
Another being, ownership of another
goat.
being. Yeah, any of them really.
Goats are rude. They're just so mean.
Sure.
They're like male goats in particular will destroy everything. They will and it's not even a genetic thing. It might be. I don't know what I'm really, but it just seems like for no other reason than to destroy. They just destroy. They're like, hey, thanks for building me this house. I'm going to run through it 8 times now.
Let's see if this works. Perfect timing. That's my son. I'll be right back. That was amazing. You're free. All right. Make sure you eat
now,
something.
Is this part of the podcast where we check in on Declan?
Yeah.
Okay. And eat something. Do your homework.
Make some mac and cheese.
All right.
You know,
I'll call you in a little bit, and then let me know when you're done with your homework.
And then I'll be there to
All right.
do more homework.
And then I'll give you more homework, or I might let you watch something if you play your cards right.
Let's watch Naruto.
All right. All right, son. I'll check on you in a little bit. I love you. Bye.
He turned from Mike to Dad. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Hey, man. It takes
your dad
multiplicity to be able to take this world on. Trust me. You got to put some different fucking shit together. You got to be a little crazy on purpose is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to plan that shit out, you know? Take that
crazy
outfit
on
with you.
purpose.
Yeah, bring your cloak closet, you know? Bring them all. Prepare yourself. Long sleeve, short sleeve.
How has it been over the last 10 years with Declan? I mean, what's been the ups and the downs?
Well, you know, in a
Welcome to
nutshell.
Dad Talk on Relative Roads.
Well, fuck it, man. We're here.
Yeah,
Let's talk. Raising people, raising beings, right? It's all relative. It's the same fucking pathway somewhere. Relative road.
Right, I get it.
Ding.
You don't gotta explain it to me.
Well, I
Cue the
felt
music.
compelled. So, yeah, it's responsibility, and to be honest, it's going to be a little repetitive, but some of my observations about myself became a little more apparent. Just I don't know over time. Started with a relationship. I bring that up a lot. I don't mean to like rub it in, but it's where I sort of like found an opportunity to feel okay with myself in this thing. You know, I felt like I could do really good in here and make things really work. So that allowed me to sort of focus on other things, you know, and it got comfortable. It does. I gained a shit ton of weight. You know, I'd always sort of had fitness in my life in some way. But when it sort of went away and I was raising my son and going through breakup, divorce, all that mayhem, you know, old ways just seem to take over. Old programming, old coding in you seems to pop up and you're like, wait.
Go back to a place of comfort.
Yeah, and you go down these roads until like you just make sense of it or you don't. You know, you either have faith in the good or you just let the bad habits rule the day. And it's a slippery slope. Everybody has different milestones in their mental health, you know, and like what's going to crack a person. It's not like like I think I'm vulnerable just as well, but I think that was what I didn't understand is that the whole world doesn't think like me, and how I raise my child all just has to do with me showing up. That's it. Just show up, tell him how I love him, explain how to love me and why that's important in the world, and that will carry you through every generation you have to face. Like you just, and that's been the last 10 years is how can I say that to him honestly while at the same time trying to deal with like some of my own issues. Like I'm starting to see like a mathematical formula how to like fix this thing, but it requires a lot of fucking pain and suffering and hurt and perspective. And so that's what the podcast was about. At some point it was like, I need to talk about this shit because it's not working anymore. My cultural views, my personal views, my own like understanding of life and so on. And it's like, I need to know if people think like this. Cause I sort of think they do, but I don't know.
I mean, too, like there's a lot of, on the thinking like thing, on that vein, there's always that chance of you might find some things that are common and then like everything else is not,
But even the common things are intricate little differences. And like, when we hear of something that sounds traumatic or something in someone else's life that sounds like it's hard to deal with, I think for me, I automatically cast myself in that space and remember what was that like and like what could I have used from other people. And it was just what I heard was just good energy, man. Like you can afford the good energy now because you're freed from a lot of that pain, you know what I mean? Like unshackled some of it. There's still some residue, but that's just fucking life, right? You barrel through the fucking planet for long enough, you're gonna get scarred and fucking scar tissue, and that's just how biology works, right? Internally and externally. So like I started to sort of figure out that there's some sort of way to get that balance, because I understand formulas in the good and in the bad, and like I've had tangible experiences in my life, and now what do we do with the awareness and information? It's like, well, the only thing that makes sense is like focus on myself, and for also the larger purpose to focus on my kid. The more I get myself dialed in, the more I feel I can help my son get dialed in and ultimately become a helpful, useful human being. Doesn't have to be perfect. Does not have to be perfect, but I feel as though my opportunities and some of the wisdom I experienced merely by exposure is worth sharing, because kids, like we talked about earlier, want to be talked to like they're fucking people, because they are.
They are people.
Yeah.
We're ageless at some point. We kind of just beings.
I feel like certain life experiences are life experiences.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. One of the biggest life experiences that everybody deals with is death. To make it a little macabre for you. We are all born with an expiration date. And then through that consciousness, we learn that it's very real, and people leave. And I remember that was one of the biggest lessons in life that I had to learn, was how to deal with that attachment and then let that attachment go. And that was when my philosophy kicked in as a child, as a 12-year-old child, dealing with one of the biggest losses I've ever dealt with in my entire life, which was my grandmother. She was, she's my guardian angel. And dealing with that and understanding that, and having people talk to me the two ways that we were talking about earlier, talking to me like a child and then talking to me like I'm a person. And I remember the conversations I had were so much more impactful when I was being spoken to with that understanding that, hey, this is a heavy situation for everyone, and what you're experiencing is just as important as what everyone else is experiencing. And I'll never forget that. And I'll also never forget the people who spoke to me as if I was an idiot and trying to explain to me about loss. It's like, I understand loss. What I'm trying to process is this particular brand of loss and why it's affecting me the way that it's affecting me. And I think, as somebody, like we've said, who doesn't have children, that's the most important thing to me. The most curiosity thing that about child rearing is finding that balance that you're talking about, and dealing with those life experiences, and how you can provide a roadmap to somebody that is a person that needs to learn by doing, but then also learn by showing. And I would find that probably the most rewarding and frustrating thing about being a parent.
Kids really, they need things explained, but not in a way that's like biased to you, just explained in sort of a scientific structure, a formula. Like I said, when I was young, I used to think that I was terrible at math and I didn't do well in English. However, I was still fascinated with language, and I was still fascinated with how things came together and how you can use recipes in different ways. And, it's like the biology that we understand it to some degree through language, but to a large degree, we haven't really experienced these things because they're a biological, like a physiological experience. The entire embodiment of going and doing something is much different than doing it online or through a screen. So I think a lot of
tactileness is going to teach you something a little bit different.
Well, think about the difference in brains and how bipolar people, they just have a versatile sort of perspective. It's fucking hot and cold. Like, they can't help it. It's a compulsion, right? So they shouldn't be held accountable for something that's just a fucking a snap in time with biology, right? Like, it's here. Let's deal with it.
Chemical imbalance, just like anything else.
Yeah, and really, they just, like anybody else, just needs understanding and patience, right? And this is what we don't do for ourselves sometimes. And I'm speaking for myself. I realize that unless I slow the world down myself and not necessarily like just let go, but dial myself into the things that mean the most to me and like educate myself. Like, I don't have to do the traditional school, but if I don't do that and I say I'm interested in something, like there's movement that needs to happen. Otherwise it's a fallacy, and I will kick myself as people do. And like, I know that if my kid hears me trying to tell him why work ethic is important, hard work ethic is important, personal sacrifice, discipline, these difficult fucking concepts for a brain that doesn't naturally sit still. Like, come on, man. Like, they're not doing it out of evil. However, the language exchange between us, well, majority of the language from me is from this old coding that takes it personal, and it's like, I have to work on that. I have to.
Oh yeah.
Because when I talk to him, like, if I'm just beating his intellect down and saying, you just don't understand this, how come you don't even think about this? So here's the alternative that I didn't understand for a long time, is that there needs to be a presence in the room for him to really hone in on the message. It can't just be a digital message. It can't just be a note left behind. It has to be a like momentary like zap, like bzz, let's do this, move. You got to like get him there. And there's no need for anger or frustration. It's simply like just militant notification, like, hey, wake up. It's not, you are capable. You're accountable for what you've shown, and you've shown tremendous opportunity, like in your mind. I can see it. You're interested. Come on, man. But he can't be blamed for not having that natural, like, focus that, and then when it comes to medication, people should do what they think helps them find the balance. And this is for any drugs. If it helps you and your life seems progressively well to you, by God, you can't please everybody, but you can please yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't
that a big struggle too? But
absolutely. But it's freedom in the thoughts and in the conversations. It's not about what the fucking government does or says. It's about what you and I agree upon.
Bro.
Well, we are the community. You live with a ghost. I appreciate that to the fullest degree. But what I'm saying is, like, you're open. You're cool with it. Like, I love my cats out loud and proud. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a world that we're making at the moment. Is like, well, we're not going to get hung up on the bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to really like try to build, we're literally building. It's just an extension of the frequency, it's like, we like woke up one day. It's like, we're going to get through this. Fuck y'all. We're going to get through this,
Have you build a pyramid.
Yeah. Let's build a fucking, look, the handful of people in the Spanish flu days, they were like this. Yeah. Let's do it anyways.
Well, same thing with prohibition. Let's do it anyways.
Yeah.
Fuck these guys. Let's do it anyways.
Yeah. And then we grow through it, right? Prohibition.
By the way, for context, we're in a haunted garage.
Yeah.
Just for the ghost comment.
The previous tenant. The previous owner.
My back feels good,
Yeah.
so that's got to be something. Because my back usually hurts. So he's probably like,
It's a really supportive.
I understand.
Yeah.
How's this?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, one of the things about this house is all the toilets are up really kind of taller than most toilets.
Oh, one
And
of those, yeah.
it's because
You need the little genie, the little unicorn genie.
yeah, we want to get a squatty potty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to push out as much poo as possible.
Hell yeah, man. That sounds luxurious. Oh, the speaking of luxurious toilet stuff, the sprayer.
It's called a duvet.
I was going to say it, a duvet.
Duvet's a blanket. It's
Hey,
a bidet.
nice duvet. This is cozy.
I like it when I can do my squats and be comfortably warm.
No, in winter, you really need to take your duvet in when you're on the bidet.
What's
You're
really
gonna
nice
freeze.
is I got a non-humidifying little cozy little closet spot for my duvet blanket. So when I pull it out in the bathroom, it's just lovely. No moths, no nothing.
Wow.
Now, usually the
Wow.
bidet shoots kind of warm water, but there is a ghost, so sometimes you'll get an ice pick up your ass.
Oh,
But
and baby,
what are
isn't
you gonna
ice
do?
picks just poo anyway?
Well,
that's
today,
icicles, my bad.
today is my lucky day because I already put one in there.
Oh,
So it's not going to feel any different.
you better behave.
I'm
Nice
looking
and-
forward to a shit in that room.
Nothing like a.
Did I make you nervous? I'm sorry.
What's
I thought we
going
were
on over
talking
there? You
about
just
all
over
of
there
it.
laughing.
I thought we were okay with
I
this
thought we were
kind of.
open talking.
Nothing
you
beats
all
a
right?
numb asshole.
Well, you didn't have to go there. That's colorful.
It's not like I'm having you read from the Necronomicon.
Anyway, so it is what it is, man. I'm honest and open, and I cuss, and I tell him not to cuss, or
Yeah, I mean,
or
there's-
I tell him to cuss at an appropriate time.
Yeah.
Right, there's time for it, man.
So one of the biggest things I remember growing up, and I've asked other parents about this too, but one of the biggest things I remember about growing up and being taught lessons and stuff was my father always telling me time and place, time and place, time and place. There's a place where you can be emotional. There's a place where you can be, happy, and there's time for that, and you can't cross those barriers, and it never made any sense to me, and to this day still hasn't really made sense to me. But then I found an outlet for all of it, right? And that was the stage. I could be emotional in public. I could express a vulnerability in public that was somehow acceptable. Like when I play football, you go out there and you're losing, but you're putting your heart and soul out on the field, and you're trying to win even at the small little position that you're playing. You're trying to do everything in your being to like somehow will it to go the other direction, and it doesn't. But yet you're not supposed to be emotional about that. You're supposed to just go, well, we gave it 110%, and it just, I guess that extra 10% wasn't enough, because I guess they had another 10%, so they had 120 to our 110.
And
Plus
that
they
just
had
ain't fair.
Jesus on their side because they prayed harder
I saw
than
him
we
over
did.
there. I sure did.
And
Arms were crossed,
it's
just like that. Whatever, bro.
so.
See you uphill.
It was in that I figured out, right, like how can I channel this? What is this
Yeah.
this crazy emotional
If you want to
thing?
go there, yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
No,
about
it's not
it.
where we're going there. I'm just
No,
saying.
indulge. I mean, because I understand character playing, acting, like the whole world of performance. Like that's a real biological need
So
between all of us. So
so
go
I
ahead.
was in the 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember which. I was young, and somebody told me about a summer improv thing, and I remember I had just discovered Whose Line, the British version, and I was intrigued with this improv thing. And so I, obviously I wanted to go. So I went and I started learning that this world of make-believe, this world of create whatever you want is structured and has rules. And that was immediately off-putting. It was immediately like,
yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
God, like I want to just create. I want to just let me get up there. Let me do things. But I found in that experience that those rules exist for a reason. And it's because if you want to create, as much like physics, you have to follow the rules. Like, I'm going to build this building that just has one beam coming off of it and it sits on a cliff. Good luck. You're going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
to follow the rules.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to there's that universe where you get to create something from nothing still has a set of rules you have to follow. And it took me a very long time to figure that out. And part of that was because of the immediate emotional release that we got from going up. I mean, this was in a classroom with desks, and you would go up in front of the whiteboard where there's maybe 2 feet or 3 feet of performance space. But that didn't matter to me.
That's all you needed.
That's all I needed.
Yeah.
And Mike could create whole worlds in less than that. And trust me, I mean, you should ask my parents about bathtub time with Josh, because every action figure made it in, and there was at least 5 movies happening at the same time. And then, you know, like the Marvel movies are now, where it's like all the good guys and all the bad guys are fighting each other. Like that would happen when it was time to go out of the bath, you know? And so, so discovering improv and discovering that, more importantly, that there was a place for me to take all of the craziness that I felt in my brain and funnel it and channel it into something different and into something positive. And of course that became like this kind of diving into the world of acting of what does it mean to have, you know, Mike is probably going to hate when I say this, to have a character Rolodex in your brain, you know, like what does it mean to,
it is, look, multi-personality people, whatever that, I don't know what the proper term for that is.
It has a new term. It's not multi, it's dissociative
personality disorder.
No. Personality disorder is not in there. It's it might be something like a dissociated personality or something, but it's like it has a different thing. But yes, we're talking about the same thing.
I just understand sort of the surface level of why that makes sense in the world. Like when I see information about that,
Dissociative personality disorder, DSD,
that works.
or DPD.
But internally, I understand it. Like I understand why that's safe, because when you sort of like lend your soul to like a character, the embodiment of a character, you're no longer accountable for whatever's in you. You know,
put the costume on, a whole other person happens.
That's what I'm. But you give it permission, because you know that it's like, it's sort of like
safe.
when a dog repeats its pattern. It's like built in. You know, you do it anyway in your head. Like even if you're not, you know, you'll watch other people do it. And you're like, I would have said this shit. Oh, that would have been funny about it. You know, you're always looking at like the future of that character, and it is like a way to deal with the mania in any typical or non-typical mind. Like,
I mean, Mike, as you know, like I played a character for 12 years every summer.
Yeah.
You know,
Bloody Bunny.
Yep.
Bloody Bunny.
The Bloody
Did
Bunny.
you ever heard of Bloody Bunny?
I haven't.
Did you ever go to the
Trash
Crest
Film
Theater to the Trash Film Orgy?
I have been to the Trash Film Orgy.
Okay, and you
Once or
don't know
twice.
what the Bloody Bunny is.
He was the guy
I must
up
have
there.
missed that one.
Because that was me.
Oh.
So
okay. I was drunk most of the time.
Good, then you're doing the right thing at the TFO.
Yeah, that's what
If
the
you're up on the
culture
balcony
was.
getting stoned and getting drunk, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
TFO was best experienced at a wobbly buzz.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
You know, so the Trash Film Orgy was a film festival that ran for 17 years at the Crest Theater, and I was a part of it for 12. And it was magic. You know, every summer we would do 6 weeks of midnight movies, and we would do a carnival like sideshow thing in the lobby before the film, and then Darren, the director of the TFO, would craft a stage play of all of 5 minutes, sometimes 13 minutes. There's just a sketch, something to homage the film beforehand, or maybe, you know, we serialize the weeks and we have a continuing storyline and stuff. Mike did one with us where we showed Star Trek Wrath of Khan, and then the following week we did John Carpenter's The Thing. And so we had a 2-parter, you know, stage show that we did. So the first part was Bloody Bunny was in charge of, he was playing Captain Kirk basically, and Mike was playing, were you playing Scotty?
I have no fucking clue at this
You were
point.
in a red shirt. I remember that.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this outline, but I don't remember the action. But go ahead. Let's hear more about you and me and acting.
Okay. So Mike and I had these 2 German characters that we played.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. One of the worst experiences of my life is when we were fucking around before a stage performance with a different accent, and we had planned on doing the German accent for these characters. But I was fucking around with my flamboyant accent.
You sure were.
Okay.
And I just love it. It's so easy and it feels
I
right.
put some German on it.
So yeah, it feels this way because of the way my S's sound.
It was
and
perfect. It was a complete accident, but it was perfect for Hans. It was perfect.
It's that, but I came out and I just started doing like just the American accent of it, and I was like, this is not the character. But in my mind, it was this like broken moment. And
You're talking about the flub that nobody but you and I know happened.
Yeah.
And but now the world does. But like at the time, so the sketch was written like this. I thought it'd be funny to do like a German hairstyle character thing. And then somebody said like, oh, do you know who Hans and Franz are? And I said, of course I know Franz and Franz. And they said, you know, I was like, well, you might want to stay away from that area. And I was like, you don't need to stay away from every idea just because some variation of the idea exists. You know, like it's okay to be funny and it's okay. You know, it's like there's plagiarism, then there's inspiration. And it's not a blurry line. It's very distinct on what it is. But I feel like sometimes lazy writing will take you into plagiarism and good writing will continue to, you know,
well, you
show
got to
you
put your own
inspiration.
personal kind of spin on it anyway. It's not like you're out there to do a Dana Carvey impression.
Right. You're not trying to, right. But I mean, the idea is the idea, right?
Yeah.
So if you have an idea and you stay true to that idea, the overall essence of what that idea was will convey itself at some point. Especially if you put someone into it, you're like, I have this baby and he's upset about things, but he's English. What? You go ahead, Mike. I know you got this. But that was a different character. So I'll get it.
It's just weird. So here's the thing about writing. I
Especially writing by committee.
yeah.
ICUP was, you would come in, right? So we would do pitch sessions at ICUP.
It's like homework for me. I was like,
yeah.
I just want to play a character. Give me a character.
Yeah.
That's really what I want. I wanted to be the goon. Just let me be the goon.
Give me the situation and say go.
Well,
be your
that
puppet.
was why you had 12 people in a group because you had writers and you had
But the
instruments.
improv was a fucking blast. Because
Improv was so much fun.
Stupid shit and just
Get away
we'd
with
be
it.
in the backyard having the best time of our lives, fucking around.
And when weather like
rehearsing.
this, getting grass stains on our nice jeans and shit, and just didn't care.
You know, you mentioned Whose Line. When my sister and I first saw that when we were in our early teens, I fell in love with that show immediately.
Like, how can you not?
And I remember this because as we became drinkers, like she's only a year and a half younger than me, so we came up kind of together.
2
and
months
we
later,
hit all
we were drinkers watching Whose Line.
Well, no. In our early 20s, we would have house parties where the goal was, hey, everyone come over, drink, and we're going to play Whose Line. And that was our idea of a good time.
Right, and that was, I mean, that is a great time. If you have a bunch of like-minded people in a room who
when you
can
think about
create-
your siblings, that's what you think about is the fun
you know, I mean,
ridiculousness that's in you.
I mean, there was times where we would play Monopoly, and I would be in, if I got the hat, I would be in a character playing Monopoly. It'd just be like this oil tycoon trying to steal all the property in this make believe world, and everyone's like, "Can you stop with the voice?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. See, I'm an oil tycoon.
What voice? This is my voice.
Yeah,
Huh?
this is how I talk. Huh?
This is good. I'm now inspired to start playing some board games at home because I hadn't really gone that route yet. But
Well,
I'm a fan of your family and how they operate, at least the social media perspective. I like the love that happens, and so it inspires.
it wasn't always like that. I mean,
fair
it's-
enough, but I mean-
and that's more of that life lesson shit we were talking about of like, you put out the energy you want back. And you know, there was a long time where nobody saw eye to eye in my family.
Sure.
Nobody. Like, it was rough. But
Well, Reggie's got the tight bond as well. Like
but yeah, I mean, that's you fight the hardest with the people you love the most. And my family, we would bury bodies for each other. But we will disagree wholeheartedly on which Ghostbusters movie is better.
That is kind of to
The
bring
first
it
one.
back to performance and acting and expression. I found that, you know, with the show that I did with Mike Faze, love all those people, but we got very, very passionate about, you know, an angle to shoot or a delivery of a line. And it's like, okay.
Would you like me to tell you how ICUP disbanded? Went to L.A.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
he went to L.A. and gave it a shot.
I
too.
actually moved to L.A. My girl got a job down there, so I went with her down there, and I gave the whole acting thing a shot down there, and everything I did ended up on the cutting room floor.
That's L.A.
along with him and a line of coke that went for miles.
That sounds like L.A. You know, he's since passed. I have this friend named Lehman, and he's brilliant. He's a brilliant mind. Grew up with him. Went to high school with him. Did a lot of performing arts with him. I mean, he's a brilliant human. On a dare, we camped out at the high school that we went to together before this incredibly douchey. It was a pancake social for the seniors that basically it was just like a way for all these people who were in this one specific club to get together and do something that they were going to like, you know, I don't fucking know. It was some popularity thing. And that was Lehman and I, like we dipped our toes in that circle because we wanted to make fun of it, because we knew the absurdity of it. We knew it's like, you guys are just 2 generations removed from wearing fucking Letterman jackets and poodle skirts. Like that's how stupid this is. Like the people, the socias in Outcast, like that's what you are, or Outsider rather. Like that's what you are, you know. And if you don't see that absurdity, like you're just a part of this machine. And that's kind of where, you know, the sort of satire of it, the kind of jokey nature of like the world around us of high school, like almost like a meta movie or something, like being aware. It's like, yeah, we're like not Another Teen Movie is very much reminiscent of kind of mine and Lehman's attitude in high school. Was this is 4 years of my life. If I play by the rules, I get out of here in 4 years, and it means nothing. And I never played by the rules though, just so you know. But anyway, so we would just do dumb shit, you know. They knew that Lehman and myself and this other guy, Eric, were going to do a senior prank. They just didn't know what it was going to be. So we were under lock and key. We were extremely scrutinized by people in power. We were, you know, when we would get to the theater, it was our safe space. It was our place where any idea was a good idea. We could do whatever we wanted to do. You know, Miss Townsend, bless her heart, tried her very best to put a lid on what was going on because she liked the creative side of everything and was able to focus me into like characters, you know, doing, you know, acting and actually going through the acting process and writing your backstory and learning your lineage or your character and sort of understanding where they've been and where they're going. So you can play 2.5 hours in their skin and, you know, and I did all that. And,
you're making me miss acting class.
Yeah. You're making me miss. I'm just making myself miss that particular point in my life.
Oh, and just being on stage in general. Yeah.
It's so important to have coaching in a room where you're building. I really believe that.
Very
like a referee, you need a median in there somewhere. You did that very well. And I think because you wanted others to succeed.
I played well off of Stephanie. Stephanie was I was the Jekyll to her Hyde. For sure.
Well, you from my experience, it felt like you genuinely wanted to win. You wanted me to win, and you were trying to help me zero in on the target. And
I'm telling you right now, Mike, when we held auditions, someone walked into a room and handed me 7 golden geese and said, "Good luck." And I remember having conversations with Jawara and having conversations with Stephanie, like, well, you know, Mike can play these types of characters. Mike can do this. And it's like, and then, you know, Mike's a little bit darker than khaki. So, you know, there's that. We can get that angle
darker
too.
Darker than khaki. And putting that on the next resume. I'm a little bit darker than khaki.
Yeah. And I remember we all thought you were like, oh, Mike Haley, that's, you know, like, well, that's a really weird name for a Mexican dude, like, you know. And then Jawar is like, I think he's Filipino. And it's
his
like
purchased name.
Yeah, his purchased name.
That's how I used to term it. It's my purchased name.
And you know, and then we had, you know, we had such a weird group of people. Do you remember who was in your auditions with you? Because I still have the paperwork. That's why I remember.
No.
So Brendan
I
Rubin.
Remember what?
So you and Brendan Rubin would pair off a lot in the in the audition for some reason, and you guys both got hired. That was also the same rehearsal. It felt like a rehearsal where Sabrina and Ray and Bethany all joined the group, and then you were in and not in when Robert Barry was there, and so there was
I phased out.
Yeah.
Fatherhood took over. Work.
ICUP was such an interesting time capsule for me because I have a lot of really fond memories of ICUP. Even the Biker Brawl, like that was a fun show. until that happened.
Did you heard
I
that?
heard about
first?
that.
Yeah, he heard the story. Yeah.
Through the grapevine or through Mike?
Through Mike, or
Through the
Roxy, depending on
podcast,
when
I
I heard
think.
it. Yeah.
Because he's one of the people that has listened to most of what I've put out, and so that's what kind of led me to Reg. And
Yeah, for those who don't know the story.
Yeah, tell that story. I'm gonna get myself another coffee.
So we were doing a show at this hotel called the Clarion. I don't know what's up with my arm. It keeps lowering, by the way. So
it's just
fix it real
funky. You might want to just fiddle with it till it makes sense.
I don't want to fiddle with it too much.
Yeah, you do.
Anyway, so the way the way the story goes is
You pervert.
we were doing a show. And at this hotel called the Clarion, and one of the ways that the Clarion bar in particular made money was that it would launder money for this biker gang. And I know this all sounds made up. This all sounds like we're talking about a Sons of Anarchy angle, but I swear to you, this is what was happening. Yeah. And Mike got inspired. And so this dude got really drunk at the bar, and my mother happened to be at the show, and he made some comment to her or something, made her cry. I don't even remember what the comment was. All I remember is he made her cry. So I saw red, and I put that guy in a wall. And then there's, next thing I know, there's me and my brothers, and there's a bunch of bikers with guns threatening our lives. And eventually, all cooler heads prevailed.
Go ahead, just tell the story.
Everybody played nice, and got a lot of drinks. And the bikers kept trying to get me to go with them. And Skylar and Skylar's dad were, and Jawara was there too. We're just like, no, he's gonna stay here. He's not gonna go anywhere. And I kept, just playing nice and stuff. But it was very apparent to me that it could have gone anyway.
Okay, and then step in me in the middle of all of this drama that's unfolding beneath me. I had no idea. All of a sudden, there's like threats and muscles and sweat and anger and a vortex of in the hallway. And I'm just like, hell yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's already a dingy fucking hotel. Let's throw this in the mix.
Yeah.
It was
A hotel
art.
that we have history with. Like,
I want to paint that because it was art. It was like the last I Cup
he's
supper.
he's the only one that like gets giddy about this story.
Because we survived, right? If somebody would have died, I would recalibrate my enthusiasm. Trust me.
Yeah,
But I'm not negligent
Oh,
with
what a
your
great
feelings.
night! But somebody died.
Yeah, we didn't really like him that much.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, no, but it was like that. It was, for me, it was like Netflix live. It was fucking great.
At the time, you said it was Jerry Springer live.
Sopranos were out at the time. I think it was
at the next rehearsal where I came in and told you guys, if you want me to go, I'll go.
Yeah.
You said, I'm fine with it, just don't do it again. But that shit was like Jerry Springer live. Like if somebody threw a chair, I'd have been like eating popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that was a dangerous perspective, but that was my
No,
experience.
I think I
really enjoy those moments where I'm outside of the mayhem.
Look, it was definitely a lapse in judgment on my part. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was the smart thing to do. Oh, did we walk out of the bar?
Yeah. Well, we're kind of in an intermission there, but
it wasn't smart. It was incredibly stupid, and it could have gone south real fast. Because I didn't know anybody involved. I didn't know they were there. That was the vice president of the biker gang.
How serious was it? So that Reggie gets a feel for that.
Which part? The part where I put him in a wall, or the part where there was a gun in my face?
Well, where the real threats existed between either your side or them.
So again,
the danger. Where was that?
Again, it was me being a hothead, and it was me being definitely not responsible, not even drinking, just saw my mom crying and I reacted. Yeah. And where it got really dangerous was in the hallway. You had Randy, the bartender.
That was great.
Good. Was in the hallway. You had Randy, the bartender, trying to maintain the peace. You had myself and my older brother, Greg, and my younger brother, Jeff, all ready to go. All three of us ready to die for whatever this cause was. We didn't even know. And then when guns got pulled, I had two different handguns in my face. My brother had one pointed into his stomach, and it's a wonder to me why no triggers were pulled, why nobody was shot, and how I'm able to tell you this story today. I have no idea why those things didn't happen.
Question: how long did it take you to get comfortable with that reality? Or did it take no time at all? I've never had a weapon.
How did you
when
cope
I
with
tell
all that
you
afterwards?
this, when I say this to you, it is not a lie. Somebody made my mom cry. I was willing to die.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So
just
the gun in my face was almost like a dare. Like that was my overall attitude, was like, huh, okay, if you're fast enough, you know, and it became very comfortable very fast that this was the world in which I was inhabiting, because
you surrendered. You're like, let's go.
For those of you who don't know who I am outside of the performance world, there is a real world person that existed in a lot of seedy environments, that lived in a lot of really fucked up situations, that experienced a lot of life in a very short amount of time, and experienced a lot of negative things in a very short amount of time, and understands the difference between what is and like where you can be and where you can't be, what you can do and what you can't do.
Let me describe you. Maybe I'll do it a little more justice. How about that?
Let Mike mansplain your own personality to you.
Yeah. Well, because I don't. Let me just do it. Because you're a character that I've come to understand a certain way, and you're a man of integrity. You have a persona. Like, you are in the room, you can't help it. Like, you're just that vibration. But what's empowering is that you stand by your convictions, whether you agree with them at some point or not. Like, you never argue the point that you are who the fuck you are everywhere you go. And that no matter the moment and what it requires from you, you're going to, like, put yourself wherever life seems like it makes the most sense, right? You just have that sort of drive. It's kind of built in. Some people don't have it, but you do. And when I wanted to do something profound, like join the police department, you stood out to me in that way. So, like, you are bullheaded. You fucking know that, like your blinders get put up, and it's a dangerous thing. However, you can't help it. But you're also
learned how to recognize that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're willing to learn from each
I would
experience.
say it's much better now than it was in my 20s.
So that's what I'm asking. At the time, with your mentality, I mean, how deep
at that
did
time
that?
I was willing to die.
Did it ever come back at a moment, like rushing in and like,
Yes.
holy fuck, I could have died?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Jawara, being one of my greatest allies in this entire planet, always keeps it real, as you know. And I would say Jay is probably the qualities you just described to me, but turned up to 5. Turned up 5 notches more than what I am.
Sure.
And
unapologetically, just fucking honest and blunt.
And and a lot of people can't hang with like, I remember. Oh, sorry, I'm getting distracted. I was willing to die. That was it. I was willing to go to death for my mom's honor, because I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't have time to understand what was happening. My mother was crying. This human made her do that. This human goes away now. And that's it, and this isn't, I would love to say that was the first time that happened in my life where I had to go to war for my mom. It unfortunately wasn't even like the 5th time.
Okay.
Growing up in the areas in which we grew up, because of economic circumstances, a lot of times full-grown men would try to put their hands on her. And because like a parking dispute, or she, was smoking her cigarette in an area and he didn't happen to like that. And so from a young age, you prepare yourself that this mentality has to sort of take over, because your father's at work. He's working 3 jobs to support, all of you kids, plus himself and his wife. She can't work because has some illness or some damage to her, whatever, and so you're the caretaker, right? Your older brother isn't quite aggressive enough to recognize the danger when it's there, and is definitely way too passive to do anything about it when it's happening. And your younger brother is just an instrument of energy. You point him in the direction to go, and that's where he goes. And so you're kind of the Michael Corleone. You're the level-headed one. You're in the middle, and you have to make those and that's from an early age. And so that learned behavior has never gone away and has never, it's still there to this day. That bullheadedness that you're talking about. Fuck, dude, every day at work, I will come in and I know what needs to get done, right? It's there. It's in front of you. Like, how many times have you had conversations with Declan where you'll say like, how do you not see this mess to clean up? And he's like, I didn't see it. And you're like, how do you not? And you're just like, you fundamentally don't understand, like, because your blinders are up, because you've seen it, you've passed by it 5 times, right? Same thing, same issue, 5 times. At some point, you're thinking to yourself, this person is going to see what I see. This person is going to pick up the thing that needs to be picked up. And then you walk by it a 6th time and it's still there, still an issue, and everybody's ignoring it.
Okay, so at that point, I have a question. At that point, where does your mind go? Like, knowing what you know.
In my 20s or now?
Now.
Like, I very patiently ask, hey, did anybody notice that this was here? Especially at work. At work, I have to, I work with majority age is 19 to 21. My age group that I work with most of. So I have to treat everybody like they're in high school, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
I need to pause and go check on my car. I think that was me going off.
Oh, I didn't even hear anything. I'm much more patient now. I would say to somebody, I would go, oh, I hear it now.
Yeah. Make sure it's not mine.
It might have been him. I would just ask, did you guys happen to see this? Was this something that you weren't aware of? And if the answer is like, no, we weren't aware it was a problem, or no, we didn't see it.
You? No, I thought it was, and I was leaning on my keys. So I thought.
Oh, you hit the panic button?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Jesus.
Yeah, to answer your question, it would be much more patience. There'd be a process of steps that I would go through. So it's were you aware this existed? Did you see it? Do you understand why it's important? These things, and you don't do it all at once either. You do the follow-ups, and the first thing is to recognize that there's an issue, right? So hey, point it out, but do it nicely. Hey, did you guys see all these greasy towels laying on the floor right here? No. Oh, no, nobody saw it. Okay, cool, no problem. I'm gonna clean it up, and you get it. And then you do the follow-up, like, hey, remember those greasy towels I picked up earlier? Like, yeah, like, do you understand why that's a problem? And yes or no. And if it's a no, you explain it. And if it's a yes, you say, okay, let's do a better job, making sure we see it next time. And then you do the third follow-up, where you work it into some sort of training. You try to make it muscle memory for somebody. But that's in the retail world. That's in the business world. That's in the, I have a title and they have to respect said title, and it's like that show Band of Brothers. One of the greatest lines I ever heard that was written was, there was a guy played by David Schwimmer in the early part of the series, that he was a master sergeant, and he was given this dude, he terrorized this one particular cadet, he didn't want to the cadet didn't want to salute the master sergeant at the end of boot camp because he hated him. And the master sergeant, played by David Schwimmer, looked at him in the face and said, salute the title, or salute the rank, not the person. So he said, okay. So he saluted the rank. World War II ends. This guy has been promoted all the way to like colonel or general from field experience and stuff. He's much higher than master sergeant. Mm-hmm. And he shows back up at this base, and the master sergeant sees him, and the master sergeant starts laying into him just like before. Mm-hmm. Doesn't see the title, just sees the face. Mm-hmm. And everybody else stands at attention. And he kind of looks around, and then the cadet who's now outranks him looks him in the face and says, salute the rank, not the person. David mm-hmm. Schwimmer falls right in line. And I remember that happening, those two beats, right, at the book end, the mm-hmm. show, basically, and going like, God, that was the greatest thing I ever saw. Like, that spoke to me when it needed to speak to me. Mm-hmm. And that's how I go into life. Like, when I go to work, I might have a boss that I don't particularly agree with. I might have a boss that I don't particularly see any sort of commonality with at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I will do exactly what they tell me to do because that's the rank. Their rank tells me to do so. But not everybody's me. So I don't expect, at least I'm learning to not expect a 19-year-old to have that same philosophy, to go in and say, okay, Josh is telling me this thing, not because he hates my guts, not because he thinks I'm a piece of shit, not because, any of these negative reasons that I might put into what's going on. Josh is telling me these things because it's his job. That's what his rank tells him to do. Mm-hmm. And so being that stubborn, bullheaded, unapologetic, brutally honest, callous person that I know I can be, I really have to dial it back. I really have to take it down to the lowest notches that possible because it's not productive. And I've seen it happen where I've not dialed it back and I've seen it blow up in my face. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why ICUP as a comedy troupe is not a thing. And there's and part of that's me.
Can I be a new associate who? Let me be a new associate.
Just do what you're doing.
All right,
Don't
here we
tell
go.
me.
Shut up. Hey, how's it going? I don't know. I just started. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for the agar.
Yeah. No,
Where
I
is
know.
that?
I saw you looking at it. I don't know. I just started. So.
Well,
But I'll go find out if you.
don't they? All right, whatever. Go. I'll look myself. I know they don't train you guys for anything.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be back. Thank you. Hey, bro. Do you know where the what do you call it? Algernon algorithm?
Algernon?
I think so.
Yeah, Algernon. Yeah, it's a spice.
Oh, okay.
It's on 22.
22?
Yeah, about midway through on the left-hand side, coming from this direction. It's about that.
Can we cuss? Are we allowed to cuss at work?
I mean, you don't want to do it on the sales floor, but I'm not gonna. You want to cuss at me? Go for it.
Fuck yeah. Okay. I don't really want to help him. Can you go help him out?
Well, I will happily show you how to deal with a difficult customer, but you kind of got to step up a little bit and do that too. I mean, it's part of your job description.
But I'm new, bro. Like I have so much to learn. Like, how am I supposed to know how to do all this shit?
I'm sorry. I apologize. You're not wearing your name tag, so I don't know your name.
Oh, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hi.
Hi, Bob. So my name's Jerry.
Jerry.
Cool. I'm actually the floor manager.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
So my job
shit.
is to
My
kind of
bad.
oversee
Oh, yeah.
all the people.
Yeah. My bad. No, I didn't know who you were, bro.
Yeah,
I
those
thought
big
you was
carts.
just some other dude.
No, and that's fine. I am some other dude, but I'm some other dude with a little bit more responsibility.
Oh, but you're the boss, is what you're saying. Like,
No,
what
no,
you
no,
say
no.
goes, right?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. I get a piece of paper from the boss, and then that's what goes.
Oh, okay. So you just do whatever this paper
I'm just a
says. No matter if
middleman.
it's right or wrong, you just do it.
Well, if it's wrong, but that's relative. Anyway, we have a customer waiting, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go help them out.
Well, I don't know if he's still there, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. I found what I was looking for.
Oh, hey, sir.
Now, do you guys sell saline enemas?
Unfortunately, that is not a product that we carry.
We don't carry it, sir. I just found out.
If you do want to go to the RX, though, they have a wide variety of those that you're looking for, and but it's kind of a trek. It's like on the other side of town from where we are.
Trek means walk.
Thanks, kid. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Internet.
Thanks a lot.
Internet.
Anyway, sir,
Is this guy? This
up?
guy is new. Did he just start today?
Yes, I did. I told you that.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, sorry about
Bob. Bob, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on a second, Bob.
At the end.
So, yes, sir, he is a brand new associate of ours, and I am training him up and everything.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, he just seems to not really be into it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to learn when you first start as an associate, and you're gonna be a little overwhelmed at first, and I don't know who his training pod is. I can obviously find out, but anyway, that's not the point. That's not the point. Was there anything else we can help you find today?
No, I'm good. I found my agar, and I'm gonna
Your
have to
what?
go elsewhere for the.
All right, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
Go ahead. Yep.
Wow. You
Right.
come to Whole Foods and you expect a certain level of,
Yeah.
service.
Not asshole foods.
Yeah.
Just Whole
Hey Bob,
Foods.
why don't we do
what's up?
this? Why don't you go ahead and head to the break room?
That was pretty clever,
Go
bro.
ahead and find Tiffany. I
Yep.
think she's in charge of your
Hella fine. Yeah, got you.
Yeah, I think she's in
All
charge
right,
of
bro.
your training pod.
Yep.
Yeah.
So why don't you
Peace.
go ahead and back to the break room,
Yep.
and I'll finish up with the customer. Okay.
All right, man, yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
So yeah, That he's okay. He's new. I get it. I'm not going to give him a hard time. I was new at my job at one point. I get it. But oh man, this man, you're just blowing me off now too, aren't you?
No.
Man, fuck this place. Fuck this. You know what? I don't need to get my shit here. I can go to fucking Safeway and get it
that's
like
your choice as a
$5
consumer.
cheaper.
Vote
It
with
is
your
my
feet.
choice as
Yeah.
a consumer.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
I'll
I'm
see
not going to stop
later.
you.
Fuck these guys, man.
You have a good day, sir. You could have chosen to be anywhere, but you chose to be here. Have a good one.
Bitch ass.
This is the check.
Oh man.
That's exactly how I deal with fucking customers. I work in Roseville, okay? That conversation is every day.
Yeah.
Fuck this place. Ever since Amazon bought you out, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude.
How did that feel, man? You want to talk to
Ever
a
since
customer
Amazon
again,
bought
or
Whole
what?
Foods,
What do you want to get off your
I've
chest?
been going to Whole Foods more.
What do you want to get off your chest? Meat
Nothing.
slicer, last
Nothing.
minute people? Come on now.
No, my complaints about my job have always been the same thing. Always.
Yeah. Which is?
Do it, be. Sorry, I got like two different euphemisms stuck in my mouth at the same time. Follow through, right? So if you're going to say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do it, then don't
ADHD.
promise me the fucking moon.
Yeah.
And it's not even an ADHD
No,
thing.
no. For me, like I would let you down.
No, you
Because
wouldn't.
I would. I let my girl down all the
I
time.
don't think that's an ADHD thing
No, I think that's-
necessarily. I think that might be a depression anxiety thing as well.
Yeah,
Like,
same thing.
you think I don't know. I mean, in the workplace, I've seen it. I used to work with the state, and I've seen that happen where
Yeah. What was your? I knew with you at that time very different, like setup out here,
yeah,
and you
what
were
was
very
that?
quiet.
Very different.
Yeah, I'm painting the picture right
Well,
now.
I
He
was working
quiet.
for the state. I was working a desk job. It's not at all what I wanted to do. I felt like every day was a waste of my life, and every minute I spent there was a wasted minute that I could be creating something or
Yeah.
doing something creative.
1984, bro.
So, but I got into the job that I did. They made me the recycling coordinator. So I was going around the office doing all the recycling stuff, getting everything going. And, I'm kind of into the environment. So I kind of took some pride in that as much as I could because I hated everything else about that job. My direct supervisor was great, but her manager was one of those talk a lot but not really say anything kind of people. So you'd go into a
I'm
meeting for an
familiar.
hour and it'd be a half hour of just filler words.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
have one of those every Tuesday.
okay, so you know what I'm talking about. But I would see often, people who had a certain job to do here or there, and see that job go undone, and watch that person walk right by that whatever it was, and not even look at it. And I was like, they know it's there. Something is making them say, I can't deal with it right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I plug into that kind of thing as a depression thing. And my lady and I are both that same way. And that's, like she gets to the point, she lets the kitchen go. She just doesn't turn the light on in the kitchen anymore. She just doesn't have to see the mess that she's not able to fucking deal with. So that's where I connected with that when you have people like, you see that. And my dad's a mechanic, so I'm well aware of like shop safety. So yeah, pile of rags, bad move. And maybe not everyone knows that.
Took
that
something
lesson.
that I felt was kind of mundane and
Right.
in a way of
And
like,
it could be that.
but there's other things too. Like there's a million things that happen. I can't even go down the list because a lot of times it's just reactionary. Just like something will trigger the programming and I'll go like, oh, let me help you with that. Or, oh, and a lot of the things that you do. I mean, think about it like this. I went to work. So I went to work Sunday afternoon before Christmas. Everybody was there. I show up Monday afternoon. We have nobody in leadership there to do half of the work that needs to get done. So now it's all on me. Every single move has to be reactionary sometimes. Pre-planning, especially in an environment like what I do, you're just going to frustrate yourself even more. Coming in and being cool, calm, and collected and understanding that you don't control the universe in this particular four walls is something it was a very difficult transition. I mean, I heard from an old boss this week, at the other store we worked at, everybody didn't like you. And I, in my head, I'm going like, that doesn't matter to me. I don't really give a shit if everybody likes me. But then what it translates into is nobody looks at you as a viable candidate for leadership. Nobody looks at you as somebody that they would go toe-to-toe, stand toe-to-toe with in a supportive role. Like it means a lot more than your likability. It has a lot more there's a lot more gravity there. You know, I recently went out for, I tried to make a lateral move and move out of the department that I was in and learn another department, just to gain experience and have a better looking resume and stuff. And of course to just, you know, stop staying in the stale water I felt like I'm in. And I didn't get it. I mean, I was fine with not getting it, but there's that actor in me that like wants the notes. Like, why didn't I get it? Like what can I work on? Like, where can I, how do I improve so that I'm viable next time? And the biggest thing that everybody said was like, oh, experience. Okay, great. So all these things I want to go do in you know, like there's promotions that are happening now, and there's places I can go and get more money, and there's ways I can do it, but the experience factor is so huge. And it was like, well, what, you know, it's like, yeah, as a leader, like you're great. We see you work over in the prepared foods department, and we know what you're about. We know how you're a go-getter and all this kind of stuff. But you don't know how to do this. You don't know how to do this. And they're very specific functions of that one department. And I'm like, well, yeah, like you have to fucking, of course I don't know. Like that was known when you granted me the interview. So the thing that you said wasn't going to be a problem is now a problem. Like that's the frustrating thing. That's the thing that's like, if like, say for example, you went in for an audition and they were like, we're looking for 30 to 40, you know, white males plus size, right? So I go walking in there, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a much larger person than Reg, and then Reggie walks in there, and they hire Reggie for the role, and they don't hire me for the role, but I got a better audition, and the whole point is like, well, he films better.
Yeah.
Oh, why is that? Because he's not a fucking wide side of a barn, you know, like you look for a plus size person.
Yeah, you just reminded me of the thing that really turned me around and made me know that my time with the state was as limited as I could make it be, which was kind of the same thing. I was sick and tired of my station, and I had the opportunity to promote and do something different. And I went in and I took the test for it, and I passed the test. And then my manager said, "Yeah, you're not getting it though." Well, why not? It's like, because you haven't done any of that level of work. I was like, well,
you have to start somewhere.
That's what I'm trying to promote into, that level of work.
Yeah.
And you're not giving me any work beyond this level of work.
Right.
So if you're not going to give me that level work, how am I going to do that level work? And that's when I realized, oh, this isn't for me. And I was like, instead of, I wanted to start taking it personally, and I even did, like, there were 3 of us up for promotions, and there were 2 slots. And so it was me and 2 girls. One of them just got married, and the other one is single mom. Oh. And so they get the promotions. I'm like, is this because I'm not a family man?
Yeah, because you start reading into the
that was that fucked up 20s thing. It was like, how is this against me? It's like, it's not against you. It's just they were better. Maybe that's what it is. They were better.
And I have to look at things like that and go, like, you know, if I didn't get a role or something, or if I didn't get the promotion, or even if I didn't get hired, like I have to look at things like, maybe it wasn't that somebody was better than me, but maybe I didn't present the best me.
Right.
And how do I do that? How, you know, and that's not a question I'm asking anybody in the room or anybody in the ether to answer. It's a personal
one
question.
Of those ones you ask yourself.
Right. It's a personal question of how do I present the best me? And you always see these memes, you know, it's like, imagine yourself on the best day of your life and then to be that person every day. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
I can't do that. I can't
Everybody is allowed to have a bad day.
You've got to be a shithead sometimes.
And sometimes you have to be a shithead because it's what the situation calls for. You know, like if I go to a department store and I've ordered something 3 months ago and it says, come pick it up on this day, and I get there and they go like, we never got your thing. Well, that's not my fault. I'm not blaming you, the human standing here reading the computer telling me my thing's not here, but somewhere the ball got dropped, and I'm allowed to be upset about that.
Well, think about your capacity to handle new information, and then think about how biology around you has a capacity for information. At some point, you are just an animal on a planet, and your bandwidth is not wide enough. It just can't happen. So you feel the fray, and it's sharp-edged, and it fucking stings, and you don't really understand it because it's not all mental. It's physiological. This is why you live in the modern environment, so your perception of what's enough in your balance is different from someone who is living off the grid or, in a place where there's not so many relationships tethered to you and, not necessarily. And so you have to think how layered you are.
Yep.
And, it's multi-managing yourself. And that's the thing about leadership that strikes me is like, it's not really about the position. It's about how you lead people to their next potential, right? And simply by owning your own, like taking responsibility for your own space and owning your fucked upness right in front of them. I fuck this up all the time. Help me keep track of that. And I got you, like you get like shipmates, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to get that tight knit Navy SEAL like bond, and that can
it's
be
hard. It's hard.
It is hard
because you
man.
have those people that think, especially in a retail setting, you have the people that think the same way as you that are like, yeah, we're in this together, we're in the shit, bro. And then you have the other people, you're 18, you're 19-year-olds that are like, I'm just doing this because my mom said I got to pay.
Just the world as it is, yeah.
Yep.
This is my first job, man.
It's my and you can't.
We need them though.
And it was a very going into a big corporate leadership role like I did at first, 3 years ago. It was a very, I'm suddenly managing people I've never seen before, right? Because there's an opening and a closing crew. And then there's a whole middle section of people. And I'm suddenly having to tell people who I've never even have a conversation with, like, hey, you're doing that thing right, or hey, you're doing that thing wrong, or I need you to come in this day versus that day. And having all those interactions and learning how to speak to people, very fondly. There are people in the kitchen I work in right now that tell me how much they hated me when I first started there and how much they know that they couldn't do their job without me now. And that is a very weird thing to hear.
Your work ethic will be your saving grace. If your personality is a little pokey,
ultimately,
your work ethic saves you.
Ultimately, that is what saves me, is that I always tell people, I'm not going to ask you to do a job that I'm not willing to do myself. If I tell you I need you to go pluck turds out of a toilet for 15 minutes, guess what? I'm also fucking doing.
That's a sign of a good boss. That's my supervisor, my last supervisor of state was the exact same way. She said, I will not ask anyone who works for me to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do myself.
Right. And I think that there's a disconnect when you get up in the upper echelons of that kind of, that you're a jefe now, you're in charge of people. And you there's that disconnect, like I sit behind the chair or sit behind the desk with the big chair and the white suit, and I don't have to get my hands dirty. They all do it for me. And you're ruling by fear at that point. And you're not ruling by committee. You're not ruling by any sort of democracy of any kind. If you're not willing to get your hands dirty, you don't have any business telling someone to do something else.
You got to show up.
You have
to show up.
And
your presence will speak volumes.
That's one of the things that I feel like is the only thing that is continuing to save me at the job that I'm at. So my mouth gets me in a lot of trouble. My mouth gets me in a fucking world of hurt a lot of times. Because people are afraid, like the bosses will show up, right?
The dog and pony show.
And everybody, and everybody does the dog and pony, right? Everybody, I got to polish the glass. I got to make the chrome look good. I got to make sure all my ingredients are popping,
Man.
And it's like, man, like fuck these dudes.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like my whole attitude is like, if we do the same thing every fucking day, it'll look fine every fucking day. If this is the standard we want to maintain, then this is where we have to be every day.
Well, how do you translate that?
You don't.
That is all about building good habits.
Yeah, you don't. If somebody comes in and is brand new to a leadership group, and they, are working with the grizzled veterans, you ain't changing nothing. Sorry. You can improve incrementally some things here and there, but an old dog is going to go to the old trick.
I think
time.
think that you can bend that time, and simply by exposure to that culture. Like if you went to your local VFW or whatever you call those, and you hung out with those guys, you could find examples in their life stories that would translate yours in a way that they could appreciate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think everybody can be altered, because you can't give up hope, right? No matter what age, something shitty happens, you gotta something's got to push you forward.
What I'm saying is, I think as someone who's never served, But I think in the military and in a retail setting where there's a hierarchy of command, and there's the grunt level and then there's the elite level, you have to understand that at some point somebody is trying to move up in the ladder and they're going to pick up that slack. And you find it very, very, very quickly on who the people is that you can rely on and who are the people that you just have to know, hey, they're here and you're going to get the bare minimum out of them. And that's their 100%. Right. So Mike, if I'm in charge of the two of you, I know Mike is full of energy. I know Mike means well. I know Mike is going to come in.
You're kind of at their mercy.
And exactly. And I know he's going to give me 100% of what his 100% is. And I know Reggie's a little bit more melodic. He's a little bit more laid back. He's got a different approach to things, and he's going to give me 100% of his 100%. But if I were to measure those 200% to each other, they're going to look different.
Yeah, depending on like your facet or depending on your point of view.
And it goes back to that, that point of view, that what you need. And that falls right in lockstep with what Mike was saying about your bandwidth and about the capacity to maintain a level of awareness that might be difficult for you. Like it comes naturally to me to be in front of 100,000 fucking people and just talk and not be shy and show up and be a voice of reason and concern. But, poor Mackenzie over here can't look in the mirror without getting frightened of her own shadow. And now she's being told to run a 20-person crew. And that's difficult for her.
And like everybody's energy requires different frequencies to really connect. And you can't always connect because you yourself are a tool in the environment, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's so tricky. We're all so like fragmented.
Yeah.
We're spread out over miles. Like literally your mind could be in fucking Japan.
We were talking about acting earlier. Right, your mind could be in Japan.
It's true. My mother lived over there.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's what I thought about. It's like, okay.
My mind goes to Japan on occasion.
I know it does. I've seen the videos that you watch.
What I was going to say was, I forgot we were talking about hentai and I totally forgot. I'm going to go pee. I'm going to do that for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get in line, ladies. Oh, sorry, man. I just got the wrong kind.
It's okay. You just lean forward because they're for like guitars and shit.
Reg?
Yes.
I apologize for my frantic nature today.
You don't need to apologize. This is going to interesting places. We're at the beginning of the new year here, so it's open-ended conversations are important sometimes.
Well, we all have a lot to say.
Yeah, it is. And if anything, when I listen to podcasts that just meander, it's like, no, there's still something here. I mean, here are these two people who are fairly famous. I'm listening to their podcast, and they're just talking like everybody does. And it's like, no, they're not necessarily going to get into the biz or tell interesting stories, but they're conversing with each other. And I think after the year that 2020 was, sometimes that's all we're really thirsting for, is to hear some regular human conversation.
Yeah, I like that explanation. I think just sort of making the observation out loud is permission.
It really is. Yeah.
I know I shouldn't ask for permission for a lot of shit, but I feel like I spend enough time just taking things for granted. I can stop for just a few moments and look at the stop sign, look at the other sides of the road, and then move on. I don't have to fucking barrel through every fucking crazy intersection, if that makes any sense. I just turned into like this, what do you call it, the road analogist guy? Yeah, forgive me. Sitcoms, comedy shows. We watched some comedy on Netflix recently with Kevin Hart. It was like everybody was wearing masks in the crowd, and there were some new people I had not seen. And
I saw a thing on Netflix. It was like the best of 2020, and one of his bits was on there. It was probably from that same. Was he in like a living room setting?
Yeah. And Dave Chappelle on David Letterman's show, that was so wonderful. Great. It was like
his
taking a drug.
And Lizzo's episode were amazing.
Yeah, they were just so beautiful, man. And that's what this is, like just to
there's a lot of what
hang out.
I would say from 2017 to 2020, Dave Chappelle has been, for lack of a better term, preaching that has really connected.
He's the court gesture who has fucking wisdom, right?
Yeah, well,
He really is in
he's
the kingdom of Earth.
Yeah, he's a sage.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's really wild too. He's like,
He's all about internal perspective.
Yeah.
He looks closely at
he
himself.
said something, you know, I'm gonna veer into this topic very briefly, and then we're gonna veer out of it. But he made a comment about the political verse, and one of the things he said was like, you vote locally because that's the corner of the world that you can maintain and change. And everything else is noise.
Yep.
And it's, you know, yes, he's talking about the bigger political picture of all the distractions and everything, but there's a little bit more subtext there to what he's saying, and it's about focusing on yourself, right? Like
He's just offering a formula, and
Right.
it's coming to him. I understand. It's a frequency.
right,
Yeah.
right, and I think it's very unique to hear it come out of someone else's mouth, because you might have that thought, you
Yeah.
might have that idea, you might feel that way, you might sense that,
Yeah.
and then hearing it come out of someone else's mouth, going and vocalizing it, or maybe putting the feeling or thought to words, like that's a whole other level of like, oh my God, somebody else is on the same frequency. Somebody else feels this, somebody else gets this.
Yeah,
And
it's frontiering. It's frontiering the mentality, the
Yeah.
privilege of that information mathematically coming together and presenting real life miracles. And it's like religion. It is. It's a thought
Little bit,
process.
a
It's
little
a
bit.
belief system
Yeah.
that seems to come into fruition often enough in your reality to turn preachy. It's just how it fucking goes. And it's like public speaker, comedian. No, he's just nature telling us the
and,
truth.
yeah, and I don't know how you could call him a comedian, because he points out, I mean, truth and comedy, right, Mike? I mean, it's he points that stuff out, the irony of life, the way that things are, why they are the way that they, you know. Yeah, he's very much he's very much the old guy in your neighborhood who's like, now slow down, youngster, you don't want to go too fast, you know. And it's like you get that
and then
vibe.
tell you a story that'll change your life.
Right. You know, like, let me tell you about
Yeah.
8. Like, wow, I can't believe this man is so
Yeah.
wise. You know, I think too.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where you're at a little bit. You're starting to crest that a little bit, Mike. Like this, you have all these life experiences that make you uniquely you, that make you incredibly interesting to be around, and your energy is infectious. But you have all this like this way of thinking about things where you're like, I'm not your boss, but if I can help you, this is what you should be doing.
This
right?
is how I describe my girl. I'm like, you're not a control freak, babe, but you sure like to show me how to do it right.
Right.
Same.
It's our motto between each other,
Right.
you know? But okay, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm learning how to digest things like that. Because I've grown to the point where I'm subscribed to making it about others, because that seems to be the right thing to do. I've taken this world for granted long enough. Okay, I give up. It's about everybody else for a while. Cool. At the same time, opening the opportunity to share, like you said, to give this stuff to people, it when I try to like break it down so that it's acceptable to me, I think morally, it is a vehicle I just got. It's a nice vehicle I just got, and I'm really like tenderly sort of like taking care. I want it to last forever, man. I want this brain to fucking be in here forever, and whatever I'm doing, I want it to like support that modality. I want my health to reflect that. I want my words to fucking mean more because I've been doing it, you know? My kid to get that fucking impact without having to be abrasive. Like, son, do I do this in the home? No.
Yeah.
You know, like,
But that
do I have to
face,
say?
that
Yeah.
whole body gesture,
Yeah,
you
yes.
can't do that.
That's
You
what
can't-
I'm-
You have to, you know, and I know you know that, but it's like that's the part that shuts people down.
Fair enough.
That's the action that makes that wall come up, where they're like, oh, he's now better than me, or
Yeah.
they're peacocking at me now. And,
Yeah.
oh, because I didn't think of it, I must be stupid, you know. And it's that, you know, look, I think if I were to have had children or a child and then get into this corporate structure of how to be a boss and stuff, I would never had an issue, because I would have already learned that temperament. I would have already learned that even keelness of like, oh,
I'm cynical, absolutely cynical. And I have, this is the other part of it, right? because there is that experience in our relationship, me and my son. But there's also the truth that is shared. And I will tell him, look, all the things I did through all this, they weren't right. You didn't deserve to be treated like that.
Right.
You don't deserve to be yelled at and told that you're not good enough in whatever way I said. And I need to apologize to you, because my intention is only to point you in a direction that will keep you safe in a crazy world. That's my goal. Yeah. And I feel sometimes that it's my job to talk to you loudly, because if I don't present it to you the way the world is going to, you're going to get blindsided. Yep. So bear with me, son. I won't hurt you.
There are no such things as participation trophies in the real world.
Yeah.
You get in trouble for not showing up.
Yeah.
You get, if you
there's
don't complete,
consequences.
There's consequences, and that's one of the
I am a consequence.
Turn me down just a little bit. I don't know if I got bumped up or something. That's one of the biggest things that I've been learning. One of the other biggest things I've been learning with this new generation of the workforce is that they all feel that they're owed. What the fuck are you owed? What have you done? Like, what have you, honestly, at the age of 18 years old, right? Unless you're some YouTube prodigy I don't know about, which is possible. What the fuck have you contributed? Like, what do you feel like you're owed?
It's a lie. It's a lie, because we tell our kids that I don't want you to have to go through the shit that I had to go through.
Exactly.
Then they get there and they're like, what are you talking? I have to go through all this shit you had to go through.
I have a boss I don't like. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Yeah. We all do.
Right.
Right? Like, I have a job I don't particularly care for. Well, guess what, motherfucker? We all have. Yeah. It's that shared learning experience that gives you the perspective that we all share now, and that we all have the benefit of having. Trust me when I tell you, and I say this every year, every time I get older, if 36-year-old me would talk to 16-year-old me, they would hate each other.
Yeah, you wouldn't listen.
They wouldn't listen.
I remember lots of me in the future trying to talk to me in the past through people.
Right.
I remember that wisdom.
And I'm sure that happens to you every day with Declan.
I'm open to it. I think is the real thing is that I want the education. In terms of speaking to ghosts, let's say, I have taken on prayer as a personal meditation, in the connection to the nature that I am, the voice that I can say inside, and out loud at the same time, like the multiverse, access to both internal and external, right? Yep. And so when I say these prayers, they're more like manifestations with my potential. And it's a divine experience, right? I could translate it in many different ways, because I've been all through the spectrum of belief as far as I'm concerned.
I have an imaginary friend.
Yeah, well, there you have it. But seems like
that's that asshole Josh, by the way, because I know I was wondering.
But it's a reality, right? So that exists in us when we project ourselves to the point where we're talking out loud.
Yeah.
Right? It happens. And what is that? Your brain talking to your fucking...
That's you needing to express something.
So it's a biological reality, and how it happens for everybody, it's too complex to hold anybody really, truly accountable for. All we can do is always be curious, right? And in terms of leadership, that's what it is to always be curious. Why? Because this is what my woman does for me. She's always curious. Why did you think that way? I take it personal, like, well, what do you think? I'm tired. I'm a jerk sometimes. I'm just a shitty human. But she just wants to know, do you understand why you made that decision? This is what she's done for me, that I feel like this is the best approach with him. However, it requires more of me. I can't be digital dad or over the phone dad. Or I can automate it with someone else, some external piece of the puzzle, and say, can you help me out? Coach this kid all through school, blah, blah, blah. So at least now I know. Right. The awareness has led me to possibilities. And for me, my job is to walk towards that. And that's a mission. It's a purpose. And that's what people really want. They just want a purpose. They want something to live for. And that's what you are. You are alive in a fucking crazy time, right? It's not important. You're alive at a crazy time. You're surviving, bro. In modern culture, in the news that's seemingly happening, you're here. And your wisdom is, I've talked to a young person recently, young meaning in their 20s, and they said, yeah, I'm interested. I don't go to social media. Now, there's people out there that are young that don't do social media, and most of us think they're all fucking glued to the screen.
They're not though.
They're not. And so that means that humanity just goes on.
Right. Oh, yeah.
All the different personalities
figure
with
it
the
out.
different needs, right? And it behooves you, to your own detriment, to ever like lock somebody up in a box. And I do it all the fucking time. I always, like social media, I had this relationship where I would look at the presentation and say, I don't like it, bye. And I would just, my ego just fed off of that, indulging, you know, like fuck you. And then it took me forever to realize that that's really not helpful. So that being said, man, like every effort is to just look forward, because my default, that's a mess. You talk about depression, anxiety. I feel like that's my baseline.
Yeah, but I think that's a you're an actor.
I'm assuming the role of
that's
many,
part of
many
it.
parts. Yes.
But what I'm saying is as an actor, you are a little bit more in tune with that emotional side of your being. I was briefly touching on it earlier, but it's true. You know, having training and stuff to be able to unlock certain emotional states within your psyche, and then draw upon those emotional responses to do what? Elicit an emotional response in somebody who's watching you, right? Like how many movies have we sat through where at the end of it, something emotional has happened and you're experiencing the same emotion alongside the characters who are wholly fictional.
Yeah.
Right.
I can hardly hold it back.
But it's hard to hold it back, right?
Yeah.
Like case in point, this with all this new bullshit with Lucasfilm and the Star Wars stuff with, spoilers alert, with Luke Skywalker coming back into the thing and people posting reaction videos of themselves crying, because they're not crying that Luke Skywalker's there to save the day. They're crying about what it means. They're having an emotional response to what the impact of that fictional character means to them. You know, if I get excited about, Boba Fett coming back, it's because Boba Fett meant something to me as a child, and seeing it tapped back into that. And that's what you're experiencing.
Right. Seeing Boba Fett and seeing Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian is like being back wherever you were when you first watched Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Like, he survived that.
Right.
Oh.
You and seeing, this character of Luke Skywalker, who's the hopeful one, who's there's always sunshine tomorrow. I mean, that's his character. To be,
he's the Annie of the Star Wars universe.
I hate sand. You guys want to go on a Star Wars thing? We can.
Oh my Lord.
Being told that you shouldn't express your emotions or emotions shouldn't be shared, I think is just a uniquely flawed philosophy.
It's part of the old guard that's on its way out, I think.
Yeah, but how many years have we been saying that?
Well,
Every year I say, it feels like every year we say, oh, well, soon enough these politicians will die and we'll get new policymakers in there, right? And but understand the game is rigged. Understand that the game that everybody's playing, there was a set of rules that were put into place long before the people who are playing it now knew about and the people before them knew about. I mean, it's a rigged system. And I'm not saying like they hijacked the election. That's not what I'm saying, so don't twist my words.
No, go ahead.
No,
Say
it's rigged in the way that here are your two choices.
Right.
Pick one.
Correct. Do you
That's
want a
how
bowl
it's
of warm piss or a hot shit sandwich? You choose.
I'll take the warm piss.
Right. We all chose warm piss. We all chose warm piss, just to be aware.
I don't know. I rode the skirt tails of the other side for a little while.
Yeah.
I came
know
with
people who did that too.
I just, the thing
I'm
was.
still very loud in my headset, by the way.
Sorry about
You guys
that.
are very loud in the headset.
Sorry. Here. Oh, let's turn that down. How's that?
You're still very loud.
What the fuck, yo? Turn that down. Turn that down.
We
Turn
good?
that down.
Yeah, now you're good. Now
You
you're
good?
Yeah, now
Am
you're
I
good.
good?
Now you're on a
Am
good
I
level.
good? Am I
You
good?
were, like, that's why I kept taking them off. I was like, you guys are just yelling in my ear.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I wish I would have been louder. So the I forgot what the fuck we were talking about, brain.
That you were a Trumper for a while?
Oh, so the whole thing about wanting to become a police officer. I heard
Some toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Well, here's-
where it gets all concentrated.
Yeah, because then you get pro-military, you get pro-authoritativism, you get, that.
And here's the thing, like, I understand that so much more now, bringing those things up in terms of bringing other good things. Like you chose to look at these things, right? So they mean something. I'm okay with that, right? You're just barking what you're barking. So what I did was I heard a beckoning. I heard a call for service. And this is just my own midlife crisis unfolding, right? My coming to truth with who I am and what I want to do with my time. So I thought, well, I'll go do something hard because I've been driving this fucking easy ass truck. It's second nature. I can do it with my fucking hands tied at this point. Knock on wood that next time I go out there, it's all good. But
welcome to knee steering 101.
But I think, you know, you gotta somehow challenge yourself, right? No matter what you're doing. Like I have recently come out of a depression about what I do for a living. I fucking hated it. I hate the repetitiveness of it. My ADHD has taken over completely in my bias towards my job. Like, I'm emotionally detached. I fucking hate it sometimes, okay? But going into the whole leadership definition thing, sometimes I think to myself, when I can rationale with myself, I say, you know, this whole bullshit about what you say about leadership, you could do it doing what you're doing. And so that's how I try to digest it, right? When I go into a facility, I am present in the room and how I operate, how I go about the job, how I make it easier for you is what I communicate to you in a professional manner, right? And like, I'm used to loose lips. That's what I usually do is I like doing accents. I like being a fucking dickwad.
I think you meant like telling secrets.
Well, sometimes that's what it takes.
I was like, damn.
No, I
Meaning
just mean
To spill the tea.
I just mean gossiping, you know?
That's what I thought you meant. Yeah.
Yeah. I like hearing stories about other people and then toying with the pieces of the puzzle psychologically. I know it's a bad boy thing to do, right? But when you're in this like Survivor series, grocery series or whatever, Survivor grocery store series,
it's
like,
funny to me to pit people against each other.
The hierarchy becomes a joke at some point, right?
Yeah,
because no one really
it's-
represents the class needed for that position.
Right.
However, we're supposed to salute.
Right.
I get the rebelliousness, like,
Oh, yeah.
fuck you and your non-existent leadership, bitch.
Right.
I've printed out notes and put them in all the bathroom stalls before about, it was some snapshot of like what leadership really does, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, dudes in their 20s.
My little activist moment, right? But I did it like a fucking pussy behind doors, and people were talking about it. But I get the agenda, the youth agenda. You know, push the envelope. Fuck you guys. That's our job, is to withstand that pressure and bend it in their favor, in our favor. That's what real coaches do. They take that child from the ghetto and they turn him into this fucking like progress machine.
Yeah, and if you've never done it though, it's hard to understand what that blueprint might be. I mean, I work with a couple of really great coaches in that aspect who constantly are preaching self-improvement and being better at what you do and being better as a spouse, being better as a boss, being better as a human, being better as a mechanic, you know, whatever the hell it is. And then at the same time, seeing the same message being delivered to someone else who's in the same position I'm in, and they're going like, and having that like, why the fuck is this guy winning or this girl winning? And I'm putting in twice the amount of fucking work that they are.
But those are opportunities to really wedge out your style of change. Because you're a piece of an ever-evolving thing, right? You're in a corporation. That's new, bro. Like, we are corporations of who we are. How do we treat us internally? And you think... And I'm not saying that you can do it all the time, because God knows I'm a fucking ruffled, feathered animal flopping around trying to get its bearings, right? And people know that, like, especially now. We've witnessed other people in the environment cracking, and we're like, oh, shit, leave them alone, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's raws are just nerve. I mean, their nerves are raw right now. They're completely, I mean, like, you see it every day. You know, somebody comes in for potato chips and we don't have them, and their world is destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, they're everything.
And respect to that. Respect to the nature of the world, the masks, the washing hands. My hands go dry and crack all the time.
Oh my
it fucking
God.
sucks.
I have, like, you can see it, my middle finger split right here from it's just rough. And because we have to wear, you know, gloves and masks, and everybody's like, how can you wear that thing for 8 hours a day? I don't think about it.
Yeah.
It becomes part of the uniform.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the asteroid hits and we can just say, fuck it. So we're all X-rays for a while. You might as well just see everything.
I understand the mask thing on the level of like personal safety and stuff. And
of cultural psychosis.
Right. And to me, it's like my company said, you have to wear a face mask if you're going to work here. Mm-hmm. And people walked out the door. And
there's those people.
Wow, like that's where you drew the line. Like, okay, like
I will not cover my mouth.
I was just, it's wild to me. I am, probably a pretty controversial take on this whole thing. But here we are.
By all means,
don't give two flying fucks how you feel about the fucking mask. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you hate it. I don't care if you're all in, I don't care if you're half in, half out. I don't give a fuck. Why is it so important for you as an individual to express your individuality at the cost of another human life? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
There is a global community that you are a part of. I'll wait for the answer to this question. But please tell me when the rocket ship to the other Earth takes off, because I'll get on it. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't exist. This is it. We got this one rock floating in the void that we're all a part of by some sort of chemical bumping into another chemical and becoming sentient and learning how to reproduce itself. And here we are. Why is it that your individuality, your expressive, how you express yourself, it feels so attacked because you're being asked to cover your mouth for even if it is a finite chance, but for the chance that you might get someone else sick? Why is that a problem? And nobody can seem to answer this question to me. What's even wilder is that I have yet to get sick this year from like the common cold or the flu or anything like that. And I wonder why that is. I work around hundreds of people every single day, and I have to wear a mask for 8 hours a day. I don't touch the fucking thing unless I go to eat, and then I touch the ears and I pull it off and then I put it back on that way. I wash my hands. I wear gloves.
That's all it takes.
Right?
That's all it takes. What people are realizing now, I think, is like, oh, you mean everyone could avoid the common cold every year and the flu every year just by regularly washing their hands? And,
wild.
Oh my God.
Wild.
And what, you don't want to do that? And I have some analysis and maybe a little more answers to that question of why is it no, this is beyond a Herculean task to put a mask on for 5 fucking minutes.
I mean, I hear people all the time say, "Oh, are you the mask Nazi?" It's like, what? Nazi, bro.
See,
nobody's putting you in a train and taking you to a fucking camp and throwing you in a gas shower because you're not wearing a mask. Like, calm down.
Yeah, it's at a fever pitch now because I think we've been through just our daily interactions with people have been at such a fucking fever pitch for the last 4 years. I'm not going to go into it, but for the last 4 years, no matter what side you're on, it's been like, it's gotten to the point where it's like, what? Why aren't you wearing your mask? Put your mask over your nose. Oh, what are you, fucking liberal Biden, fucking Bernie asshole, telling me what to do? You don't fucking tell me. Whoa, buddy. Whoa.
That's why door greeters don't say shit. They just stand there. They're like,
listen, dude,
like
a manager to come over.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see overseas. I don't give a fuck.
Who the president is. The virus doesn't give a shit who's in charge in our fucking made up, fucking subjective human culture.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's a virus.
So that's not even part of this, dude.
No.
I mean, I could right now be an asymptomatic carrier of COVID. So I do want to like direct my breath so that it doesn't waft anywhere.
Right.
Because I haven't been tested. I don't know. I feel healthy and I feel fine and I probably don't have anything. But I don't know. And so when I go out, I'm masked up all the time now because I just don't know. I
mean, that's the other part of it for people who work in retail and in hospitals and restaurants and stuff. I mean, even delivery drivers, when you're in your own space, like when I'm in my car, I don't wear my mask. It's my car.
Yeah.
I know. Do you know what I mean? Like it's my own personal bubble that I don't get to wear. And when I'm home, I don't wear the mask because I'm at home, you know? And that's the point is you don't need to do those things when you're at home and stuff, but being in and around people, it's not about, and it's going to sound terrible, but it's not about you. It's not about the individual. It's not about the human being wearing the mask. It's about the people around you and keeping everybody safe.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of about the species.
But the mission is to convey that message to people in a way that they will accept and appreciate. And that's the difficult part, because the way I look at it is that COVID is also like a mental illness on a spectrum. Everybody feels a different way because their lives are contorted in such that the influences are different. They're elderly. Here's the other thing too. If they're elderly, are being isolated and they are in their last days, the mental torment of that, or even the passing of a father or a mother or whatever,
Can't say bye to the body because of
it ripples through society, because those are the people who are going 100 fucking miles an hour that you can't do anything about. All you can do is be aware and appreciate
out of the way.
the sense of urgency in some of these faltering lives. These are falling apart, and they're attached to other people who are vulnerable to their dismay. They're fucking dismantling it. It breaks them open. I have a friend whose neighbor, they shared train tracks between them, and whenever commotion would happen at the tracks, they'd text each other or call each other, say, hey, what's going on with the tracks? You know, there's lights over there. Oh, it's nothing. I heard it's this or whatever. Fast forward, she gets a call while she's at work. Her neighbor is calling to find out what's going on with the commotion at the train tracks, and she says, well, I don't know, I'm at work. And then fast forward, it's their child, their 16-year-old child, who has taken his own life. He was a symbol of leadership in his school. He was an educated, interested, talented, forward-thinking person. No one saw what compelled him to take his own fucking life. So many of us can put on a brave face.
right.
Many of us can weather a storm or two, or even maybe three, depending on where we're at in our lives. And I know that when I think back to the times where I walked through the dark alleyways of Sacramento, woe is me, at my best possible version, I could have used understanding people around me, you know, and I went for it. I dug that out myself. You know, both of you are a piece of that wealth and that aspiration to healthy living and good support, right? I can only imagine that some people just aren't there yet, or they hit a milestone of defeat that I can't even fucking imagine. Your parents gone to jail, your mom needs surgery, whatever the fuck, man. I've heard it all, seen it all. That's what culture is, right? It's not about we matter more. It's about Jesus Christ, bro. We're all getting a hit here.
Yeah.
And if you don't slow down to take consideration for what anybody angry in the streets is going through, if we don't do that, then no one can do it. The police can't fucking do it. They're us. We're not trained. The system is flawed. It's fucked, so to speak. Better F word for that description, right? And when I watch these shows about prison and people who are young, 18, 19, and it's emotional because you see your fucking kid in them, and you think to yourself, God damn, man, one wrong turn and I could have been there too, and it would have swallowed me up, because my talent lies in deception and acting and role playing, and I'll play the motherfucking role, and I'll get dirty, and I'll pretend I have no phobias just to survive, right? So that's what we do. We fucking survive. And if we're aware of our own tendencies and our own environments and who we inspire near us and what our mood does, the more aware we are, the more control we take to hinder our own tendencies to take the easy way out. We got to kick our own ass. Our generation was promised an easy way out. Bullshit.
Nope, never happened.
You know, I understand the millennials. Yeah, it fucking sucks, bro, but we got to do it. We got to do it. You got to pick that fucking heavy shit up. And if you don't, you're your own fucking legacy. Good luck to you.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You are the name that you make in the world, and it comes with wisdom, right? And wisdom comes with age. So I don't expect someone at a young age, like 19, 18, 17, whatever, to understand that, because that's an impulse machine, right? Like at that age, when you're young, you're just everything's impulse. Like I want
in a lot of cases,
I want to eat. I want to fuck. I want to go to school. Who does? I want to make money. I want to spend money. I want to go have a party. I want to.
Yeah, that was me more, the make money, spend money party.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, partying was.
What's dangerous is saying that that the young people go through this. I'm not saying you're wrong, but let me try and re-explain. So like, sometimes people our age go through weird fucking phases where you're like,
for
bro,
the record, when I'm talking about the people who refuse to wear the mask, it's never the youth. It's everyone 50 plus.
Yeah, it's a little dark in that old house.
And yeah, it's a little dark in that old house, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm referring to is this.
We got to deal with that too.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the consumerism, that's that capitalism,
Sure.
you know, of the strong survives, the Ayn Rand, and the mask represents some sort of muzzling of that, I think, to them. And I've definitely tried to get into the mindset of having understanding, like, why do you think this way? Why do you feel that your civil liberties are being infringed upon?
Sure.
Because we're asking you to take care of your fellow human.
Because, you know, by not wearing that mask, all the restaurants have closed down, and my civil liberties are being infringed upon. I want to go out and eat. I want to go to the mall and shop. I can't do that.
Let me tell you something. The mall, Roseville, that big ass mall, wasn't closed. It was very open.
Oh, I know. I live near it, and
they were not limiting people. They were not checking masks.
They had all the cones out as if they were going to limit entry, but they
certainly did not. And you know, and so it's at some point, you know, that understanding of everybody's individual perspective has to be taken into account. What I'm telling you is my perspective. What I'm saying to you is what I have experienced and what I've been able to glean. And it seems to me that there are two camps. There's exactly what you just said of, I want these things because I feel that if I go get my hair cut, if I go shop at the mall, if I go eat at the cafe, if I go get a coffee at Starbucks inside and drink it in the building in one of those really cool Starbucks mugs, I'm supporting the economy and I'm helping myself win. But what we're not looking at is, at what cost? Right? Like imagine if the coronavirus, this is how I try to think about things too, was zombies.
I think that's a natural side effect of having Netflix.
That is perfect. But that's perfect. Right. And I heard a podcast, Neil deGrasse Tyson was on this podcast. He said kind of the same thing. He said, if carbon monoxide was like shit brown in color,
you could see it.
And you could see it hang in the air forever, we wouldn't be dealing with air pollution anymore. We would have fixed it already.
Right.
So if you can see the coronavirus, you're going to stay away. If it's visible, if it's something that looks nasty and it's visible, you can see it. Yeah, you're not going to leave your home.
You know, the bubonic plague had visible things that were wrong with the individual that had it, and he knew to walk that direction the other way. Yeah. Leprosy, same thing. You know, polio, all these things had these visual, markers that made people be aware of it. Influenza, Spanish flu, didn't have that.
And so
coronavirus doesn't have that. Mad cow disease shit didn't have that. You know, there has to be that.
This is what we did before we had internet, man. We touched each other a whole lot more.
A whole lot.
And we got to stop.
Well, we had it good for 100 years.
Yeah, man.
We had it good for 100 years.
We're just lucky that we got the last tail end of it. It ain't going to change. We got to be clean now.
Nothing's
forever.
They said the same shit when Spanish flu happened. Well, we have to do this, we have to do that, and what birthed out of that was more fear mongering, more segregation, more, you know, I mean, you can literally tie in policy. You can go look people, research. Google's amazing. You can you see policy that changed in the South, for example, where in the state of Georgia the Spanish flu hit hard and it killed a lot of people, and the African American community was blamed for it. And that's where a lot of these in the 1920s, these whites and blacks fountains came out of it, and different bathrooms and stuff. And that whole segregation thing didn't birth out of, some of it birthed out of racism and skin tone and that kind of stuff and cultural differences, but also a cleanliness of what people thought other things were.
Right.
And you know, yes, we have to be cleaner as a society. Yes, we have to understand that these viruses and stuff, it doesn't care about borders. It doesn't see an ocean. It doesn't see, you know, it's a genetic thing that is engineered itself to be one thing, and that is to consume and move on to the next thing to consume. And
but the question is, if we didn't know about it, if we weren't digitally, you know, involved, what would your life look like?
You'd have a heck of a lot more sick people, and you'd have an epidemic, not a pandemic, but an epidemic of why are all these people dying? And you would have these questions. It's the same thing. We only call it the bubonic plague now because we're history. Because I mean, that's it. We are history, but because that was history, and we've had eons to examine it and figure it out. Like, how did the bubonic plague spread? Rats. We know that now, right?
Yeah.
And how do we know that? Because we were able to go back and look at the practices and stuff of the medieval ages. Thanks, Christianity, for making us forget indoor plumbing. But, you know, we have all of this now perspective on it. We don't have that perspective now. Now what we have is we're in it. We're in the moment of it. You know, 100%. I will bring up images of news articles of where people were bitching about wearing cloths over their face in the 1920s because of the Spanish flu, and saying how it's an infringement on their civil liberties.
But there are two different things happening in our realities. One is the actual virus making an impact on humanity, right? The biology and the changes happening in between species, right? So then there's the other thing, the psychological perception of the world around you as the knowledge of this virus is shared, because it's information we're constantly feeding to each other, so it has to be true.
It's
right?
updated and it's edited.
Yeah, so we're constantly downloading this truth or ends of this truth, and depending on your environment, who you hang out with, who your culture is, who you're at home with, who you hate being at home with, who you hate working with, who you have to spend all your time with, who you have to take care of, all these dynamics in our lives. And I say this shit from that observational standpoint because, like, the process of purposely changing some terrible habit of my own has forced me to like peel that part of my perception open and just leave it there. And like, I have no choice but to take responsibility for what I think I see, and like yourself, just convey that. That's our compulsion, to spit that out, right? So like
fight that shit every day.
Well, to stand tall in your conviction, because you're purposely seeking that education because you really care about other people. You want other people to have the life we're all fighting for, right? So you subscribe to, I'm going to live with purpose, or I'm going to live and deal with consequences. It's two, like you said, there's two different sides, and that's just me saying it a different way. It's like people choose to have a purpose and live for that, like look at the future in a positive way and build on that, right? Your psychological society, your community, your like-minded people. I understand cults. I understand Trump supporters. I get it. It's scary. It's scary to hear, like, people are moving in, we don't have all this land anymore. We're going to have to bend ourselves and accept new things. Fair enough, right? But the perception,
ours, right?
But they're grouping together because they're scared, they're nervous, and life has to change.
Well, anytime there is change, right? You know, it's going to present roadblocks and hurdles for people that might be imaginary, right? That might not even really be a hurdle or a roadblock.
Right.
I mean, I remember in 2008 when, I voted for Obama, and I have no problem saying that because I did. Did I like every single policy and every little practice that he did as president? Fuck no. There was tons of shit that happened during his presidency that I was like, you're fucking up. Let me tell you how you're fucking up, and but it was that idea that we can be better as a society that sold me. That it was that idea that we can build a better tomorrow.
He was a good singer and lyricist.
That idea of a better future. It's not good. This idea of this better future, you're not going to be a part of, right? Just because of how old you are and where you're at in life. But you can lay the foundation for it so that the next generation and the next generation, they start to get the better future. And that's what everybody bought hook, line, and sinker. And that's why he got elected twice. Then fucking Cheeto and Chief comes along and he's like, fuck all that shit. Let's get back to it was in the 1950s, and that those people who lived in those dark houses, suddenly a light came on and they went, yeah, we should get back to the 1950s because I didn't have to worry about all this shit.
Yeah, we got to resegregate those fucking drinking fountains.
Yeah.
Give me that label maker.
Yeah.
I'll fix this right now, Frank.
Only.
Right.
State job my ass.
So it's interesting that, I mean, there's the whole psychological thing, and we're at a moment again, just like with the Spanish flu, where there's this thing that affects our whole species, no matter where you are, no matter what your educational background is, no matter what your economic background is, you're just as vulnerable.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, and you were talking about Ayn Rand, and I wanted to talk about that earlier. I'm so glad you brought it up. Yeah. Because that ties into kind of the general thing. What we've been talking about is we're documenting ourselves as we mature. And so we can look back at our 20s. I can look back at my 20s when I first heard about Ayn Rand and that philosophy, and it was so empowering. That's why a lot of young men
should be about myself, and
a lot of young men.
The other guy. Why am I spending more money to
like,
support?
You have power. You have power. You can do what you want. And the book opens up with this, like, it's ridiculous. And I can look back at it now and see how fucking ridiculous
Alice
this
Shrugged
is.
is a ridiculous book.
Ayn Rand talks about, so and so, he's a bus driver, but he's a fucking like professional, perfect bus driver, and he knows how to
turn the wheel,
and he
coast
drives
into the stops.
He drives the bus like he makes love to a woman,
yep.
and it's like, who wants to fucking drive a bus?
Right, who wants
Nobody wants to fucking drive a bus, bitch.
I mean,
like,
and
stop trying to sell me on every vocation that's out there is this romantic ideal of a janitor. Fuck you. No, that's not a proper motivation. So you're giving me this like, oh, sorry.
No.
You're giving me this like,
the volume's fine.
You have the power. You can do what you want, and you'll be perfect. And the world needs janitors, and there's somebody out there who is OCD enough to want to clean and need to clean, and you know, it's for them. It's like, no, I'll take what you have. The basic, like, I have the power. I can decide what to do with my life.
Correct.
Because I really needed that portion, and that's what's like. I like wine. Can't be hard to make wine. I'm gonna try to make wine, and I went and got the stuff.
I have a toilet.
Bruno. I went and got the stuff, and I made the wine. I got through all the process, and I
toilet
enjoyed
wine,
it.
Mike. We made a toilet wine.
I heard it.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I'm on some sort of scaffolding over here watching.
Am I gonna become a winemaker? No. It was a fun experience, but
I tried it. It didn't work. I'm gonna move on.
Oh, it worked. It was good wine, but it's like, is this now what I do? No, it's something I tried. And it's coming out of that and realizing
that idea, though, that what Ayn Rand was writing about, saying you should we'll go to the bus driver analogy.
Yeah.
You should drive a bus like you're making love, and you should be, and have all these nuances and understand. Yeah, if that's what your passion is, 100%, and that's what you're saying is, if your passion is to go and be a bus driver and fucking go be all you can be in that bus driving field.
Don't hold back.
But don't turn around and tell me that because I'm choosing to sort of dabble in many things to figure out what it is that I want to do, that I'm wasting my time. Right. Because every time I fail, I've learned. Every time I make a mistake, I've learned. Every time that I've succeeded, I've learned. Every time that something has gone right, there's been a lesson. It's not a waste of your time. I tell people this at work all the time, and it's one of the saving graces I feel that I give to the people that I work with, is you need to embrace the failures sometimes. You need to, and what do I mean by embracing the failures? Why am I saying that? Well, what I'm meaning is to learn the lesson that the failure gave you. If Mike comes to me tomorrow and says, "Hey man, we're never going to put up that episode." Why? Well, first of all, it's like 8 hours long. There's
close.
I can't really edit that together, but it sure was cathartic. I'd be like, "Hey man, that's cool. Yeah, let's try it. Let's be a little different next time." The lesson. What's the lesson? Don't have ADD. Don't just let everybody freeform it. Like maybe build a structure, which you do have, and we've ignored it. Yeah. But I mean, it's
it ain't really even about that. It's about.
But I'm using it as an example.
Sure. Yeah.
And but embracing that failure and learning your lesson from it, and those things lead to ultimately what you are going to be passionate about. What is going, that path is you're laying the gravel or the stones.
This is where I am. Let me explain because here. Oh yeah, go ahead, and I'll wait for you.
So you go right into this door. It's the door directly in front of you. Just knock. There might be my wife in there.
I have to pee too. I always have to pee. I drink so much water.
I can open the garage door. You just go around the corner.
No, I'm not that desperate yet.
Water some
wait.
grass.
No, it's okay. I'll keep my composure for now.
We really should get off this topic.
Off of...
Just, it's a downer topic.
I don't
it's an interesting
believe so.
conversation.
I
but-
think it took us there because it needs to be there. Look, like, you live in the world, you hear the things, you don't always get a chance to elaborate. That's what this is about. Is like, let's put it out on the table now so that your relationships back wherever you go are free to do whatever they should.
Yeah, I think...
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I definitely think that there's a catharticness of being able to vent and say how you feel about these things in a safe space. And even if somebody listening to this doesn't agree with me, that's fine. You're allowed to not agree with me. That's your human right.
That's where I'll go with what I want to say is I have an example that I'm living out this very moment on a daily basis that I've had to come to terms with in an alternate way because it's easy to let the criticism hit different things inside that I didn't know was vulnerable because my perception is off point, right?
Yeah.
But if I always come from an educational standpoint, which is really based in mood, my personality and how I feel about things determines how much I invest myself into the synchronicity. Because if you're into anything, there's already a frequency that exists there. There's already masters from before who have been to this space doing this very thing with this same focus of energy, right? So I feel like with the magic of meditation and the practice of discipline, you can get a taste, just enough of a taste to use it as fuel to like keep yourself in line. Here's the thing though, like you fill yourself up to the new capacity because when you open up, you get a little extra space, right? And then you get full again. And this may look like the demise of way too many things piled up on you, right? And
Right, and it might feel like you're giving up a part of yourself even though you're just growing.
And what's interesting is that the criticisms that you suffer the most are within. Those are the real...
You're going to beat yourself up harder. Well, we used to tell you that all the time in the comedy group. It was like, dude, you're your own worst critic. You were fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I could have been wittier. I could have said this. I could have said that. It's like, yeah, but that's hindsight talking.
It was the emotionality about success. It's what I defined as success, so which has taken on a new definition for me. And I only talk about it if it comes up. I try not to force feed my spirituality if I can help it. I like to share the glorious like miracles I experienced just by saying praise to them. Like, man, I'm so fucking thankful that you're here, that I'm here, and that we get to share this time. Like, that's a miracle, right? You woke up, I woke up, we survived the distance between us, and we're in a fucking box, safe as can be, loving the shit out of the world, right? So here we are in the future we hoped for months ago, years ago, whatever. Your agenda and internally who you want to become, can be like a focused practice. It can be a harnessed energy. It just takes a lifetime to get there, right?
Sure.
And
sometimes a lifetime isn't actually a lifetime.
Absolutely. And time is irrelevant at some point. In fact, I think we are all time travelers. You don't remember necessarily the digits of a time period, but you remember the essence of a time period. You remember the person and the personality and the energy they represented, the characters that were there, and we hold them dear, TFO, right? That's a past that we keep in our back pocket because it's a lot of who we think we are. And that was what I was getting at, is I thought...
So the long-winded version.
It's a great segue. This is what happens when I can focus. So I thought, I'm supposed to be this entertainer. I'm supposed to take this talent that I've tapped into, seemingly. It's the feedback I keep getting. Hey, man, you're pretty good at this. Okay, I'll keep doing it. I was Trump-heading my whole future, just thinking, I just got to do better. I got to do better. And I thought, well, I'm going to get there someday. I'm going to get this thing, going to get that. Some of that stuff still haunts me. Material life, whatever. It's part of progress. We can get into that another time. However, my perception of success didn't correlate with my understanding of how I get educated, what works best for me. Didn't know ADHD was even real. Didn't even really want to accept that, right? But I had to settle into something because here I am, getting older, getting fatter, time's a wasting. What am I going to do? My own little freak out moment, right? I trust exercise. We have a relationship, so I go there. But it's still like, what's the purpose here? What are you trying to do? You know, exercise used to be fueled by some other need to be accepted.
Right, like I need to exercise so I can be the best athlete.
Yeah,
I need to
or be
exercise
attractive.
So I can be attractive, right? So I need to exercise so that, you know, whatever, this heart condition goes away, right? It's like exercise in a lot of people's minds is just is a stepping stone to another goal. Exercise is for I know for me, exercise is not something I get them go like, let's go work out. Like I'm lazy in nature. I want to take the easiest path. I want to be, but that's part of that programming, right? That's part of that Saturday morning cartoon bullshit where, you know, it's eat the biggest bowl of cereal, watch all the cartoons and do nothing for your entire day, but yet somehow that's okay. And it's fighting that programming and just going, you know what? No, I physically live in this thing that I call a body, and I need to take care of it somehow. Just like I have a toilet that's broken in my house. I need to take care of that. I need to buy parts for it. I need to learn how to repair it. I need to and then go and repair it, right? And I'm not going to be the greatest repairman, but I'm definitely going to be better at that job than I was at the job before because I'm a little bit savvier now. I have the right tools to do it. I can take care of these things.
You've learned a few things.
I've learned a few things.
Yeah. So that's so I had this idea of what success meant for me at the time, whatever, right? Just a play on words. Eventually it turns into this marketing word and I get fucking, you know, it bothers me. Success. It's like, fuck is that, right? Then came a time where like, well, I want to be the best dad. I want to be the best possibility for him, you know, in truth, not just in words, but it like, I needed that to be a component, a large component, but not the component.
The fatherhood facet.
It just is, it was a vehicle to take my mind there and take it serious because nothing else seemed to do it. But let's take the kid, right? The future, because that's what he is. That's what our fucking kids are. You can't separate that. It's everything. Well, there you go. And that's another thing, music and how that's important. But like, if I don't try to live out the truth, what does the truth really mean? Right? It's just me barking at the world because I haven't done A, B, or C job yet, right? Yeah. And then exercise is a way to tie your like physical being with your mental being. It's a mind-body like connection. And then you can literally like place your mind in parts of you that get stronger. So what happens is in a world that subjects you to pain and trauma and things come out of left field and you deal with them, it's no different from the breakdown of your own biology with purpose to restructure, to rebuild, or refocus, right? Yeah. You get deep enough, you do it long enough, it becomes sort of a flexibility, a muscle. And over time, if you pursue this for yourself for whatever reason, again, like my kid became a very compelling motivation. But when I took other possibilities, ADHD, into consideration and I researched it, I dug deep, I saw testimonials, which really just means I watched a lot of YouTube about it. But I did read some reading material, a couple of books, so on and so forth. It's like there was a blueprint there that I never knew about that built this. And like now that I know, like my talent is taking other people's ideas and like building on that, or so I thought. But now I know that I just didn't understand how I was to be educated, neither did anybody else. It's not that I didn't take the information, it's just that it gets here a different way. So now that I am aware of how my brain and emotionality and all that shit sort of intertwines, I can sort of use some precision in my skill building. And there's always that haunting materialistic side, the like, we got to make money out of this. We got to produce the shit out of this, whatever, right? It's that weird Snoop Dogg character that exists in everybody's fucking head. Right. This pothead fucking producer, right?
Man, if we could just get 100 people to buy this.
And maybe because I'm an actor, I can appreciate that voice because
100%.
He's pretty fucking cool, right? So
he's definitely figured it out.
So I allow him to be in the room and be part of the mentorship. So now I've just kind of learned how to just make the opportunities and decide, do I want to learn something here or don't I? And then that becomes the purpose. It's the success becomes the doing. And then, you know, I still have some work to do in terms of how I view it all, as terms of an industry or a vehicle for other means of income, right? So it's a whole different show. But being able to accept that about me, that I have spread myself thin, but why? Because I want to learn these things. And I want to be connected now. Like, it's pretty clear. This is like one of the greatest vehicles to have a conversation with people, because you're not
mic in front of
pulled.
them, they want to talk.
They want to talk. They want to share. And then you put your phones away and like you're in the space together. It's the old world we're going to miss. You do it. You do it. You make your sacrifices.
One of in terms of that connective thing, one of the greatest things I've seen is just how fast people adapted to the technology, right? Of Zoom, of Twitch, of podcasting, of just, ways to get out there and still have that connection without physically touching. And it's actually pretty inspiring to live in the world that is doing that, to see all those people that are doing that. I feel like that, obviously as a species, as a society, we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine. We're going to get through the light at the end of the tunnel is going to come, and we're all going to get through this. And then we'll be old and gray laughing about, you remember that year when we couldn't see each other, but we did it anyway? Fucking speakeasies. Like it's going to be that eventually. And, just like when you're in high school and you're in those 4 years and that's your whole world, and you never think you're going to get out of it. Suddenly you're in your mid-20s and you're faced with like, I have car insurance now and I have to pay rent, and you don't even think about that weird teenager that was in your past not even that long ago that was bitching and moaning, complaining about freedom. Yeah. And now you got it. And now you got all the consequences that come with that freedom. And now it's about, how do you maintain it? And
within yourself.
And yeah, I mean, the depression stuff, the looking inward, the getting, healthier mentally and physically, all those things are tied into that self motivator, right? Like, who's your motivator, right? Oh, this droid's got a bad motivator. Well, we can't just get a new droid, right? You have to figure out your motivator. And you have to go into you don't have to do anything. I'm saying have to is my own self talking to myself. Is you got to wake up. You got to wake up every single day and focus on what is positive. What positive happened in your life that you are going like, you know what? This is what I'm striving for. This is why I want to be in the position that I'm in. I wake up every single day and a beautiful woman is laying next to me who for some reason chose this horrible person sitting in front of you. And I do that self-deprecating human
thing. Better knock that shit off, Josh.
But I have a house. I've never owned anything like this in my entire life before. And there are things, and I get that that's a material thing, but you know what? That is something that is wildly important to me, to be able to have a space to call my own. It's my little cave and my little wall, right? And it's my cave paintings on it. It's
you got some work to do, man. You got some you to get to know that you've been giving everybody else. Like, and we all need that. You need that crashing time where you're like, I need to fucking break, yo. Yeah. Everything is everything, and that's fine. But I need to go in here and see some shit, address some things, and then recalibrate. What is really important? It's a lot to take on.
I mean, one of the things I heard during that hell week at work was everybody was really impressed you didn't spaz out. Oh, everybody was impressed I didn't spaz out. Yeah, old Josh would have spazzed out. Oh, okay, cool. Is that still the image people have of me? Yes, absolutely. Oh, okay. How do I fix that? You never will. Oh, just accept the reality. Okay.
Do you want to?
Accept what?
Change that about you? Is that a goal?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't want to be as emotionally response. I don't want to have an emotional response to everything. I want to be able to look at things on an even keel and be Spock. I want to be Spock.
Okay, I don't need to engage with that one.
Yeah. And like like you said earlier, I want to manipulate. I want to like get into people's conversation, spill the tea and pull strings and play puppet master. And fuck yeah, bro. In my 20s, oh my God, I would laugh my ass off at getting involved in someone else's drama and stirring the pot and just being like, I don't know, it's what I heard him say, it's like you and then you get caught up in that world, and then suddenly it's really negative. And so kind of what I've learned out of all of this is that I'm just trying to be a better me. And I don't know what that looks like because I've never been shown what a better me looks like.
You were on
Yeah,
the
you gotta
show
figure that out.
almost a year ago. A
I
little
was
over
the first
a year
guest.
ago. Yeah, first guest. So,
And I wouldn't stop talking.
but so like,
So not much has changed.
Not anything has changed.
okay, that was my question. Like, since that time, what is the most profound effect of the world that you
So
live in?
I can't tell you what the most profound effect of the world has been on me, but what I can tell you is what I have found of my own personal traits that drive people away. And, one of those traits that drive people away is that bullness that you were talking about.
Mhm.
The being,
Better you talk about it.
was that a threat?
No, just letting you have the stage, please.
Just that unwillingness to sort of like, this is a straight line. Okay, but we need to go left. But this is a straight line. Being able to have that flexibility to go, you know what? We do need to make a left. So let's course correct. Let's adjust, and learning that and learning those patience of it and learning the why is it so important to me to be on top? It's not. Somebody somewhere told me it was, and I took it as gospel, and it needed to be a thing. And that's what I would say is just being able to look at the world and go, what is worth my time? What is worth me getting fucking involved in? Like,
Yeah.
why am I
Yeah.
so upset about
Right.
the political situation in our planet? Why am I so mad? Why am I so mad about how the police are treating citizens in this world? Why am I so mad about racism? But why am I experiencing that same emotion and that same vigor? Because she didn't know how to cook steak correctly.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
right. Yeah, why did
I
it go
think
there?
everyone's just at that fever pitch where
I'm talking about before this. I'm talking
Oh.
about before. Yes, everyone now is for sure. But what I'm saying is before I would have the same emotional response for everything, right? Like if I came into work, let's go for a day to day. So I wake up, no coffee's made. I'm pissed. Why? Because the thing that I got used to every single day being made for me isn't made now. So now I'm fucking mad. So I take that anger and I go to work. The first fucking thing at work happens is somebody didn't do a task I asked them to do the night before. And I'm fucking even madder, right? Like, what the fuck? I could did all these 5 other fucking things and then you didn't complete one thing. Like, oh, so fuck me, I guess, right? I took it personal. There's no reason to take it personal, but I did. Then I come home. No dinner's made. Why the fuck isn't dinner made? I just fucking slaved for 8 hours in a kitchen making dinner for hundreds of other people and you can't make one meal for one person. Like, that's not fair to anybody
Right.
to have that level of emotional response.
and that is I don't and for that I don't blame anybody. I don't give anybody any negative points for that expression because to me it made sense to me from like an earlier age because I see people blow up about the littlest things all the time. I'm like, what was that all about? They must be having a bad day. And it's like, okay, I've had bad days. I'm not gonna meet their aggression
Sure.
and anger there because I understand.
There's no
like,
reason to.
Hey, this guy probably didn't get his morning cup of coffee.
Right.
You know?
Didn't get jerked off by his wife like he likes to every single day. It's just like
Yeah. So
being
and
gross
that,
to be funny.
That speaks to like a sense of loss of control. Like if things in your environment that you're used to going a certain way, you have a routine and you've shaped it to
So this
this
is the
certain
thing.
way.
We are animals.
Yeah.
That's just like
But
it's the
we're
basic
animals that crave
explanation.
order.
Yeah, we need the structure to feel secure. When we feel insecure, all the
It's
rules
when
are
all
off,
that
man.
negativity,
Like
that's when
all the animals do what they
Yeah.
got to do or do what they think they got to
well,
do.
to answer your question, Mike, what has changed in a year? Perspective has changed in a year. I think it was 2 years ago because I was living on 9th Street. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I started it in March of 19.
It was right before the pandemic. Wow.
Or maybe a little bit before that. August. If you look at the date, I think it was August. But anyways, it was right.
So I don't want to be a contributor to people's bad energy.
Yeah.
Right. Like people are going to have their negative shit, and people are going to have their own weight that they're carrying. They, like, you know, what we refer to in the acting world as your own baggage. Everybody has their own bag or multiple bags, and they carry them around every single day. And my goal is to not add to your bag. Right. My goal is to be the anti-bag.
Right.
You know, that's my goal. And I'm not perfect. Fuck no, do I have a flawless record in it? But that is my goal every day, is to not be a contributor to the things that impact you negatively. Right. And that's been the biggest change. You know, I pulled to sort of give you perspective.
Makes sense.
What?
It's just like, that's the one that makes the most sense. That's the modality that makes the most sense when you do what you do for a living, when you're out where you are in the industry of retail and commerce. Yeah.
Well, not even that, but like taking, you know, I have to go run errands today, right? So I'm going to get irritated. I'm going to be a little short part of the day because something is going to, I hate the word, but something's going to trigger me to cause an emotional reaction. It could be the driving. It could be an interaction with a clerk. It could be me having to spend a little bit more money on something that I wanted to spend money on, and you know, and panicking about that thing. But something's gonna do that, and I have to recognize that my wife, who's with me running these errands, she doesn't deserve any of that energy. She's out here experiencing the same shit I'm experiencing. So there, you know, and learning that lesson. Yeah, I'm 36 years old. You know, I just turned 36, and it seems stupid to somebody who might already know this, listening to this and going, well, what the fuck? This guy's 36. He's just figuring this out. Like, yeah, I'm a little bit slow on the uptake. Okay. But you know what? I got there. And you know what? I'm trying. And I don't feel like in this world we give enough credit to the people who are trying to self-improve. We're so interested in the overnight success. We're so obsessed with this.
Do or do not, there is no try.
Right. Exactly. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
I mean, that philosophy.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is, but it's a great message too, because it's like, if you are trying, then you are doing.
Yeah.
Right. Trying is doing.
Right. Trying is exactly.
You haven't reached your full potential at whatever that is yet, but you're doing.
But maybe you have. If you die tomorrow, that was your full potential.
But
that's
you know
it,
what?
right?
But
You're
if
in
you
the
die
moment.
tomorrow, if I died tomorrow, what the fuck are people going to say about me?
Well, that's the thing about success. It is the
But you
doing.
know what? I don't give a fuck what people have to say about me.
I do. I can't help it.
I don't.
I've tried to get around
like,
it.
I know that sounds incredibly like anti-ego, but I really don't, because I'm not here for anybody else, right?
Yeah.
I'm not here for.
Yeah.
Yes, you're in my house, but I'm not. I'm not here for you. I'm not here for you. I'm here for me, and I'm here for the things that I can contribute to this world. And if everybody starts thinking about things a little bit more on a broader perspective, we can get to a place where, yeah, it's okay to think about you, and it's okay to be self-interested, but at the same time, like, you know, helping your fellow human, you know, and being polite to your fellow human.
Rational self-interest. It's in my self-interest to make sure the people around me are doing well.
Right.
You know,
when I was in charge of the comedy troupe, it was in my self-interest to make sure that everybody else was successful, because their success meant my success.
Right.
Their success meant that the overall brand was successful, and their success meant that they were successful. So there was, you know, there's a lot that goes into that. However, what I've learned now in the retail world is that I literally could die tomorrow and my job would be posted the same day.
Yeah, well,
I could wake up dead, no call, no show. Somebody investigates, finds out I'm dead. They post it the next day. And it sucks, man. But you know what? How many people died today, and we're just keep rocking?
That's what I say. You know, a lot of people died trying to get here.
that added to my
And we're here.
anxiety about my state job is when people literally did die. Like, not at their desks, but, you know, they went home smiling, saying bye one day, and then the next day they didn't come in.
Yep.
And this guy was in his early 40s. And I'm like, oh, no, I cannot. Like, I'm still self-aware, and I know that when I'm dead, I'm not going to give a shit about anything because I won't exist
Because
anymore.
I'm dead.
But right now, I care about what kind of impact I leave on the world, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life here.
Yeah.
And, like, it was tough because my dad was a state, a lifetime state worker. And he bought into it, and it served him well. And he's like, you get a good job with the state, you got health care,
But
you
he
got
is
benefits.
the institution now. That's his brain. He's like
and you get
a menu.
and you work for 30, 35 years, and you get a sweet retirement, and then you're set.
Yeah, I didn't have that growing up. My parents were hippies. They don't trust anyone over 30. Fuck the man. Ask questions. I mean, that was my upbringing. It was even if you find something you like, ask questions. You know, and it was, and oh God, did I ask questions? You know, I still ask questions to this day, but it
Never stop asking questions.
I don't. I
it
stopped.
just I never.
just fuck everything.
That's a
Like a
sentiment.
rabid dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To change the subject though.
Yeah, we got 9 minutes till we hit 3 hours. So
How
if
was
y'all wanna wrap
everyone's
it up-
Christmas?
Christmas was good. I had, I got to tell you, 2020 holidays, I like them because I was like, what we did, like, is just me and my fiance, just us and the pets, and we're not planning on having any kids anytime soon. But what I like doing is on Christmas, going over delivering toys to my little nephews, who are, one of them's 3, the other one is a newborn. And
Here's a cardboard box, newborn.
And, they're hanging out in their garage, and my dad built a little wooden plaything for the boys, and that was out there. And we all hung out outside and let the kids open their presents. And my oldest nephew I got him this big thing of Lincoln Logs.
Ah,
So he picks them up, and he starts, like, drumming with them. I was like, that's my nephew.
of course.
But it was that.
Does this make noise?
That joy of like giving the gift and then seeing the person open the gift and enjoy the gift or react to the gift. That's really what it was about for me. And so when Amanda got this the new Oculus thing, the standalone Oculus, I'm like, I never expected that, and that was like that brought me back to the childhood of like coming downstairs and there's that thing that you didn't expect, you didn't even know you wanted it, but it's there.
There it
and you're
is.
like, oh,
Yeah, it's got a different texture to it. It's heavy. You dream about it before it's there, and you wake up disappointed. I thought I had it already.
like when I was a kid, living in LA the first time, my dad had this project. He built a dollhouse for my sister. She had Barbies and all that. So he, made it to scale so that the Barbies would fit normally in these rooms.
Like you do.
And I would go down. He would be in our car bay. We didn't have a garage. He'd be in our car bay building this thing at night, like after the kids are supposed to go to sleep.
Oh, I thought it was Salt Bay when you said that. I was like, what's Car Bay?
Hellyeah.com.
And it was so cool, but until I knew that's what he was doing, he was gone at night. And I was like, oh no, what if he went out? And I know he likes to go out with my uncles and drink and stuff. Oh my God, what if he got in a car accident? That's where my young, like 8-year-old mind went. Because
Anxiety boy.
Anxiety. I didn't know what that was, but that's what I was feeling all the time. Like I went to bed with my shoes on just in case we had to run in the middle of the
Sounds
night.
like you live in the hood.
Yeah.
Well,
Go to sleep with a screwdriver just in case someone comes to that window.
That's interesting. I grew up, my dad listened to talk radio a lot in the car, so I grew up with a lot of Rush Limbaugh.
Oh,
So
yeah, that'll still anxiety.
It's
that
amazing
feeds
he's
the
even here
anxiety.
to have such a liberal conversation. It's amazing you're even here to have such a liberal
Well,
conversation.
it's like country music with my dad. My dad loved that new wave country music.
I'm in
Garth
love with it
Brooks,
now, gotta say.
The Garth Brooks, the fucking Brooks and Dunn, the Reba McEntire, all that new back when it was in the 90s. He loved it. I can't stand that fucking music. It's because I was exposed to it. And I
Sure.
remember, he liked it, so I automatically had to hate it. It wasn't until I understood music that I was like, oh, this is actually trash. But
I love it.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
fucking
at
love
me.
it. It's
At
like
Deep Fried
Hallmark.
Josh on Twitter. Tell me how much your music is great, and I'll tell you how much trash it is.
Think about it. It's like wrestling to kids, as
It's
Hallmark
real,
is
man.
to girls, country is to anybody who likes it. It's make believe.
I love that country community because they are so just Merca, and it's like all aspects of it.
Not all of it. A lot of it is love melodies and connection
I'm
to
I'm talking about that style that I'm referring to. That good old boy.
the good old boy.
Like
Yeah.
like in the 70s, it would be the folk rock. You know what I mean? Like it would be that like we're about God, we're about country. And
my
I mean,
white
like,
people.
yeah.
Oh, my white people.
No, that's not what I mean. But yeah, a little bit like that. But anyway,
Okay.
how was your Christmas, Mike?
Oh man, it was artistically filled with time to myself and And
Artistically?
yeah, it was like I built this.
Yeah, he did some painting and shit.
I built this desk that I put outside. It's like just this platform I can build things on and fiddle with things and woodworking. And I did a lot of woodworking, built some stuff, and then wood burning, doing lettering and all that stuff. And then
Is that fun, as much fun as I think it is?
it's a great place to put your brain. Let's just say that, and that's really how all of it is expanded. But I have goals, and ain't nothing wrong with having goals in any of these skills. So that's what I'm doing. And Christmas was a preview as to what's possible in my own creativity. I painted, looks like I can do all right at that. Did some woodworking, I can learn this. So now it's like, okay, now that I know how to get information in here and then make it usable, I'm going to dip into this stuff. And podcasting's another thing. I'd like to automate more of this and let it kind of do most of the driving and me just pop in every once in a while and say, hey, what's going on? That would be cool. But the opportunity to bring it further out into the future seems like the right thing to do. So that's exciting. If I can justify automating and financing that in some way or form, that's the next goal. One of the next goals, by next year, it'd be great to be able to do that and be like, here you go. I'll check back in with you, my little spirit baby. Yeah. Couple of those going on, one's in the Bay. That gives me a reason to go out there and experience the Bay and help humanity there in whatever capacity I can, promoting this kind of thing, this like connection to each other and like using the community as a new form of currency and allowing people to have their moment and then really unbiasedly, like, look, you feel what you feel, you say what you want. I don't have any agenda to change your mind, but to spread the idea that your mind is as valued as any other. So here we are. The future, you know what I mean? So that's where my Christmas took me. So it was fucking amazing.
That was your Christmas?
Well, check this out.
Yeah,
Little
I
preface.
feel like a shitty fucking materialist now.
But listen,
I
should have prefaced
I learned
it.
deep lessons about
I learned philosophy and I'm trying to change the world.
Well, that's exactly what happened, and I had a bit of a downward spiral leading up to that.
Yeah.
So
that
I
was your
cracked
light
open.
at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I cracked open. I was pissed off. I was that guy you described being a dickhead at work, not just not cooperative to the nature of what I'm doing. It's not their fault that this industry is what it is, and I just had this moment, and I had to get it off my chest, and I really just needed a minute because I had put a lot of things in front of me and I needed to prioritize. So that became important. And so there lies the revelation. Like we're gonna get a little more precise from here forward, and that felt liberating because I just got it all out. I just puked it all out, put it in art, put it on paper, whatever the fuck it was. And it was freed myself from jail.
Said this before, but this kind of podcast where maybe you do meander sometimes is also important because especially after the last year, a lot of people have kind of forgotten or their communication skills have gotten rusty. And so it's like sometimes you need to just sit and just chat and just shoot the shit and remember how that's supposed to go when you're not
What's that feel like?
being cut off by Zoom.
Chatting.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Being cut
In
off
real
by
time.
Zoom
Right.
and
Where you can take a pause and you don't think the other person disconnected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is important. This is important, and something that I guess maybe the listener who's made it 3 hours can hopefully take away from this is like everyone has moments where they're an asshole, and it's almost never to be taken personally. That person's going through their own shit.
Yeah.
And young men in their 20s have a need to be heard and to figure out what their voice is like. And
They're
sometimes
newborns.
sometimes that means being crude and rude and out there and shock and all that. But that's all a learning thing. I think we have 3 men in this room who have similar experiences and similar kind of brain chemistry problems. And we've all had similar experiences in our 20s, and we all now have similar experiences in our mid to late 30s.
40s.
Early 40s for Mike.
You just turned 40.
I'm about to turn 40.
Oh, I thought you just turned 40.
Turning 40 later this month.
40's
So,
good, man, so far.
And what
36 feels just like 35. Just
Yeah, it'll happen a couple more years. Maybe something will change. I don't know. Everybody's different,
I mean, I
right?
got a house that changed.
So you know what? Honestly, like you're further along than I was back then. I a lot of my stuff was an uphill climb. I'm sure
same
yours
here.
was too. But like your ability to rear back and really reassess is a lot more proficient than mine was for a while.
You, Mike, you just spoke on this whole downward spiral before the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, that was, I had this idea to do a comedy thing, and then we did it, right? And then it blew up, and my identity was shattered with that. I didn't know who I was. I was like, if I can't do this, then what am I? And then that was the decade of the suicides, where people who sort of put me on the path I was on started dropping. And the hard one was Lehman, because I wouldn't have met anybody that I currently know in the comedy world if I had not met Lehman. And that was a very hard one for me to, it's been several years, and it's been about 5 years now. And I'm still very, very much struggling with him, his depression, the things, go back and look at conversations via text that we've had and be like, oh, there's a hint. Oh, there, and like analyzing that. And, but I'm here, and I know this is going to be cliche to say it. I'm here where I'm at, and I'm focused the way that I'm focused because of one person and one person only. And, no, it's not Reggie.
No, but he's in a similar boat.
It's I have a focus, and I have someone who has figured out my crazy and has figured out how to channel it to where I become the most productive person I can be and get the things
That's
that
what I'm saying. You gotta be a little crazy on purpose.
Yeah, well, you have to be.
Yep.
And I think, when I said way earlier that, what I figured out is how to be compatible with someone else's crazy. I mean that.
Sure.
I
Absolutely.
mean, it's growth is so weird because we never think we're growing, and we constantly tell ourselves never stop learning. And then we go, when the fuck am I going to learn this lesson? And then suddenly you're there one day and you've learned it. And you're like, oh, and now it all fucking makes sense.
The universe hands you that lesson, and then boom.
And I've had so many of those in my life where suddenly the clouds part and the universe goes, see, motherfucker, I told you. And it was like, oh my God.
Some would say that is God talking to you, but some wouldn't.
Well, you want to get into that conversation. Let's have another podcast in a couple of years.
Well, you're speaking on the death of a friend and the change that follows, the profound change that follows. And I know Reggie he's been in the same predicament.
You had made me, I was thinking about this as you were talking. It's like, oh yeah, I had a friend, he was in his mid-20s and we were roommates. He was like the newest roommate addition to the house I was living in. And we all connected immediately about like Quantum Leap and stuff. He was into
Quantum Leap.
He was in all the same nerdy stuff that the existing roommates were into. So we all clicked. We became fast friends, and we started like talking about developing projects together. And he was into writing, like a writer. Let's start shooting ideas and getting them down, and maybe we can film them and stuff. And so this was I was getting into my 30s and still connecting with somebody in their 20s, thinking, okay, I can still be relevant.
Yeah, I'm still matters.
Yeah. So, and a year goes by, and I move out, and he's still there, and we're all doing the thing where we go out whenever we all have free time together, and we do drinking. And he's a big time drinker, and he comes from a family of alcoholics, so a lot of the times he goes to his dad's and he just drinks with his dad until his dad passes out. Well, one night his dad passed out and he was drunk and he decided to go home. And he made it 2 steps down the 3 steps in front of his dad's house before he slipped, fell, cracked his head open, and bled out. A lot of us are still trying to process that.
Yeah.
And this is 8 years later.
Right.
We're still trying to process this.
Well, that a freak accident like that, it's always hard to process a little bit more than something that feels intentional. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody gets eaten by a shark, you're like, well, let's go kill the shark. If somebody gets hit by a car, it's like, well, let's figure out how to make the streets safer from that car.
Right, but this guy he made a bad decision, and it ended his life.
And you can't. That's rough.
And so, and people do a lot of different things. Some of us were like, he was killed, like somebody pushed him. There's no way you fall down 2 fucking stairs. There's no way that happens. That can't happen, because here I am. I was still a heavy drinker. I'm like, if a drunk can be felled for good by a step, then I need to fucking change my life.
Yeah. Definitely makes you think about.
And so, and his
everything.
death really put me on the path of like, okay, I don't need to drink, but I want to drink. What's that all about? It made me think about my motivations for these things, and made me realize, oh, I don't need to go out to bars every night. Like, I love to perform, and I'm drawn to doing karaoke. I want to.
I don't need to be drunk to do it.
And I don't need to be drunk to do it. So I can eliminate that whole bar scene from my life for a while and kind of detox.
Yeah.
So
that was a big part of my life too, was wanting to be a part of that culture, wanting to be a part of that bar culture. So what did I do? I got a bouncing job. I bounced bars. I was good.
You find reasons to
I
be
was
there.
good at being a bouncer, man, and drinking every night, partying every night, you know, doing all kinds of dumb shit every fucking night, and waking up one day in more pain than I've ever been in mental and physical, and just wondering, like, where's this coming from? Why am I feeling it? And then going and doing the same shit and then feeling the same way. And then I hear this George Carlin quote of, you know, oh, how I kicked cocaine was the pain outweighed the pleasure. And it was like, what does that mean? It's like, well, you do something because it feels good. Like, yeah, okay, well, eventually it starts to hurt you. So when does the pain
feeling good?
When does the pain outweigh the pleasure? That's when you need to make a change. And I was like, oh, well, maybe that's bouncing. And sure as shit it was. If I had not walked out of the job the night that I walked out on it, I wouldn't be here having this conversation in a garage with you guys right now.
This is what I'm saying. You were living a life of consequence, and then you found purpose.
Right.
And the same thing here. Your pain tells you that something is not right. And if that pain is blindsiding you, you have to do some introspective. I mean, you have to look at your patterns of living, and, you know, this self-reflection moment's a necessity for a fairly healthy mind, at least one that has the strength to barrel through some of this shit, right? And then you make the decision. You make the decision to progress, to move forward as a biological being. I am nature. I will exist, right? It's this funny moment as the animal thing that you are and conscious of it. And I think that that is the like-mindedness. I think that's the weird drive to push forward, take leadership. You jump at the chance to say, all right, man, somebody's got to point this fucking thing in the direction. Here I go. Let me do it. You have the balls to do that. Reggie has the understanding and the patience to wait for people to explain themselves. He'd never jump to conclusions. I've always felt safe with him, you know. It's never been a ridiculed moment where I feel like, oh fuck, I shouldn't expose anything.
Meanwhile, yeah, I don't ridicule people. I just egg Mike on when he ridicules people.
You know, he slips into that antagonistic role. It's fun, right? We're all fucking giant kids, but
at some point, yeah, I mean, we all are still adolescents inside, and we, you know, maybe half of our sack dropped, and we're a weird cat that wants to fuck everything.
Yeah. But I just had to say that you guys represent that, and like, what's not to look forward to, man? Like, there's so much potential
to look forward to.
If you get your life in order, however you see it, however you feel it is in order, you know, you buy a house, you've got a stable relationship, stable relationships. Okay, so all right, I feel good. I can go out and express myself, and I can let the little adolescent kid out to play for a little bit, and let him have some fun, and then, all right, time to go back into adult mode. I'm gonna go. I got errands to run.
Yep.
But hey, as long as I can get a balance between those,
I keep looking at the clock, going like, I'm gonna be out late running.
Yeah. Let's call it quits. Reggie, you could take us out, man.
All right. Yeah, take us out. So, folks, you know, we had a long meandering conversation, but this is a conversation between three men who've been through a lot of life, and I think the willingness to share that with other people has a lot of value for anyone who's willing to listen to it, to give it an ear. And again, that's what we're after on this podcast. We just want to get to know everybody. We want to connect with everybody and see what that connection can bring us. Because if we keep our mindsets right, it can be, well, mostly all good stuff. Until next time, I'm Reg Bohannon, and with me is Mike Haley.
Peace.
And please introduce yourself.
At the very end, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Dietz. I'm Josh. Just that's me.
Josh.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Josh? Is there any
No.
idea you think is worth
I
spreading?
really feel like after listening to the podcast that Reggie was on before, and then being in person with him, that if you don't get into radio, man, like figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? And that's
Good.
what this podcast has opened my mind up to the possibility of actually getting into radio.
Do it. Do it. Just do it, Reggie.
So folks,
Get into radio.
maybe I'll hear from some of you later on down the road when I'm doing the midnight show on NPR. Have a good night, folks. Have a good day. Have a good life. Have a good new year.
Eventually, all these roads just end up looking the same. I'm just